I will call to order the Tuesday, October 21st, 2025 meeting of the Middleton Select Board. It is 5:06 p.m. Reminder for those that are in the room here that this meeting is being recorded. First on the agenda is Warrant Article 2608 and Facilities Project number 72. Town Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Warrant 2608 dated October 14th, 2025. On the payroll side of things, coming in at $882,000. You'll notice overtime is getting a little lighter. I wouldn't quite call it a trend yet, but it's something we continue to monitor just to see what that impact is of the additional public safety personnel that we hired over the summer. For bills payable, coming in at about $1,164,000. Nothing terribly large of note on there. About $18,000 to pave or do some paving at the Oakdale Cemetery. Another $18,000 for landfill monitoring under the DPW. The insurance premiums are kind of the bigger driver on this cycle. So you'll see about $260,000 for the schools and about $180,000 on the town side. And then also the facilities project warrant 72 down there at the bottom. Pretty light one for where we're at in this phase, about $250,000, almost exclusively soft costs. So not anything that would come through construction-wise. That'll come through on an upcoming rec at your next meeting. Thank you.
Any questions?
I do not.
Move to accept as presented.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? Actually, I just have one item. Just because it's triggered me, I saw the waste disposal. When is our contract up for renewal with, for our tipping?
Covanta.
Covanta, or whatever it's called now?
You know, through,
I think in a year or two, relatively soon.
I feel like you did it in my first year, right? And it was 3 years with an option to extend.
Yeah, I think we'll double check with Paul. It's
Okay,
coming
we'll send
soon,
you an
I
email.
think.
Okay, thanks. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, if any? Okay, that passes unanimously. In your packet, as well as via email, you should have received minutes from September 16th, 2025 meeting, as well as October 7th, 2025 open session. And then we, on the September 26th, 16th, we also have executive session minutes for 2, 3, 4, and 5.
We had 5 executive sessions that evening, so they're
had
broken
5
in.
then?
Yeah, they're
items.
broken in. We had already previously done September 16th first session.
Yes.
So this is 2, every purpose has a different set of minutes.
That's right, we did have 5 that night. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there are any questions or comments or areas that folks wanted addressed on the minutes. If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to accept all of the previously mentioned minutes.
Okay. And there is a second. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, if any? And that passes unanimously. Okay, Town Administrator update and reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Some notes around town. The Office of Administration and Finance has earmarked $35,000 to go towards a new Council on Aging ban, as you all may recall. We got news going into the spring around time of annual town meeting that about $100,000 that typically we would have been a shoo-in for was withheld from us because of our lack of compliance with MBTA communities. And so, to the credit of our partners in the legislature, they bound together and helped secure $35,000 to help kind of defray some of that cost and take a little bit of the sting out of it anyway. So thank you for their effort there. That's officially been confirmed. We held a shred day at Memorial Hall week before last. Thank you to Chantel for the coordinating, and Jackie and JJ as well. We're trying to shed materials that we're not legally obligated to keep anymore, especially in advance of the move. Otherwise, they're just going to sit in that building and rot. So just trying to be proactive. We've been having conversations about the flagpoles and memorial outside the current police station. Those were generously donated by the Bouchard family. We want to make sure we move those when we move away from the current police station. So we're just trying to identify a place in town that would be appropriate to put them to use.
So is the plan for the police memorial to go in front of the municipal public safety portion, or?
Potentially, we've talked about maybe at the cemeteries, if they follow where the flags go. The original question was, can we reuse the flagpoles? They are about 15 years old, but scale is an issue relative to the new buildings. We're ordering much bigger ones with larger flags. So, but we're going to try to work with Henry and find something that's fitting.
Okay, good.
Budget guidance was sent out last week, officially kicking off the fiscal 27 budget year, which is crazy to say. So copies of that were also sent to the chairs of the Finance Committee as well as the entirety of the Select Board. We're anticipating a fairly challenging budget year. We had made a commitment throughout the budget process last year that we would do our best to not go back for an override for at a minimum of 3 years since the override passed, which, thank you again to the Middleton voters and all the boards and committees and the work that goes into that. We were able to secure those additional public safety personnel, but we still have some year-over-year budget drivers that are fairly significant. Health insurance comes to mind. We're carrying 20% for that. So it'll be a tough year. We'll get through it, but I think we're going to have to get kind of creative, and we'll have some challenges. So I joined my counterparts in Topsfield and Boxford this week to provide feedback relative to the assistant superintendent search. So it's also worth noting as an aside, congratulations to Mr. Greenberg on his retirement upcoming at the end of this year, and thank you for his service.
End of the fiscal year, not the calendar year.
School.
Yeah,
School
school
year,
year, yeah, sorry, yes. So thank you to Steve for all his work there, but.
So he's got one more budget left in him.
One more budget left in them, so, but, we appreciate, we being me, Mr. Hartunian and Mr. Coogan, the opportunity to provide, a line of sight from our vantage point in terms of what our priorities are. So thank you for asking for our input. I'm joining Superintendent Goodwin tomorrow to discuss the logistics of the Maple Street Bridge, which is still on and moving forward. And we did also receive the good news today that the Danvers Middleton Bridge on Route 114 is moving forward. What do we call that around here?
It's actually just called the 114 Bridge.
The one.
I thought part of that was
Because
replaced.
it's on the exit out of town, Justin.
Yeah, we should get a snappier name.
Isn't part of that replaced?
I don't know if it's a portion of it, but I forwarded the email earlier today, so take a look at it. But I think that'll kind of wrap up some of our bigger bridge projects, which is good to see.
And it's total replacement, it's not a repair.
I don't know if they're resurfacing the deck or if they're doing the whole thing
Well, it
underneath.
said replaced.
Oh, perfect. Great news.
Okay, so
Well, yeah.
the detail needs to be, okay.
But even then, that's not in the next year. They just kind of let us know that they're initiating the process, so they'll have some design processes and other things that they'll communicate to us. We continue to monitor the proposed project at 35 Village Road. As you know, at the public forum a month or more ago, they had expressed an interest in trying to get something through in October, so we're just keeping an eye on it. It could be an any day type of thing. It could be after the holidays. So we keep monitoring. Public interviews were held for the library director position last night. We were all there, so that was good. So thank you for everybody sitting at this table for participating, as well as the library board of trustees, the friends, and
And the
some
citizens.
residents that came out and participated in the screening committee and everything else. So a huge and long process, and I think the end result will be good. Also, a huge thank you to Jackie as well as the employees over at the Flint for keeping things moving over the summer into the fall during a period of significant transition at the Flint. And I think the Flint's poised right now for to be in a good spot for a really bright future. So I think we're all excited about that. Collective bargaining is underway with all units. Thank you to our department heads for their input, as well as Jackie and Finance Director Wood for the planning and research and coordination that goes into that. And lastly, just noting that this Saturday, October 25th, is the Pumpkin Festival. Thank you to the Middleton PTO, as well as community partners and businesses that help make that happen. That's everything.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions on town administrator update and report?
I do not.
Okay,
And Mr. Chair, I will offer the Middleton Municipal Campus update if we could push that further back to 6 so that Mr. LaRoche and Mr. Renaud can join us. They have obligations they're
we'll
working
move
through.
that to after the 6 o'clock public
Comment.
comment. I know Costa has an update for us as well.
I met yesterday morning with the members of the elementary school committee and Dr. Morrison and Steve Greenberg and Steve Clifford, they're the facilities director there. The roof project, is at the 25% design phase. They've been working with MSBA and the people assigned to the project at the 25% planning. The estimate is $2.15 million. We've already appropriated $300,000 toward that project, and there would be a 47% reimbursement from MSBA. Steve Greenberg will have the elementary's first draft budget, at the beginning of November. The way he's building in 20% health and dental premium increase, using a 3% increase on FY25 actual expenses that are not contractual. Contractual expenses are applied. For instance, the bus contract increases by 5%. He anticipates a higher circuit breaker reimbursement, so that creates some breathing space for them to be able to fit some of these other increases within the guideline that they've been provided.
During that budget discussion, was there, I know the first draft is coming in November, was there a commitment this year from the schools to actually button up their budget at the time frame that every other department buttons up their budget?
No, that wasn't discussed.
Okay. I think we need to reiterate that again. Every other department head buttons up their budget in a timely manner. This department does as well.
The other thing that we've discussed was, if you recall, at Maytown meeting, there was a capital warrant article to purchase the materials for the English language curriculum that was shared among the 3 towns. The other 2 towns, received 50% reimbursement through the PRISM grant. Middleton did not, because we're not MBTA 3A compliant. I've also spoke with them about, they should look to address some of the wooden guardrails at Howe Manning. Some of the posts especially are in bad shape. Some of them are completely split and falling apart. So they'll be, looking into that. The enrollment figures that I'll just get from Steve Greenberg, the enrollment is down from the past 2 years. It's about what it was in 16. During that time, between 16 and now, it's been as low as 604 and as high as 674, and it's currently 633. And the drop is in the kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, so that doesn't seem to be any long-term increases based on the fact that the youngest grades are down from previous year. And that was it.
Costa, what was the grant that you said?
There was a PRISM.
Oh,
Not
okay,
PRISM,
thanks.
PRISM. This was, so when we discussed the acquisition of the new curriculum across all 3 communities, there was some discussion. I remember that Saturday budget hearing about accessing grants, and they told us that they had applied for grants. And normally they get grant dollars to help offset that, which the other 2 towns did, and we didn't. Can you add that to the tally?
It's on the list.
Thanks. Okay. Anything further on elementary? No. Thank you.
Yes, in the afternoon, we had a meeting with the elementary liaisons from the other 2 towns to discuss Steve Greenberg's, successor and what select boards might be looking into that. So
Okay.
they're kind of reaching out to different constituencies to get feedback.
Good, okay. When you met with the elementary specifically, not all three, was there any update or comment around traffic and circulation and how things are going here at this building?
No, but at previous school committee meetings, they've talked about how it's pretty smooth.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions on business? Okay. We'll move to next on the agenda, which is the acceptance of gifts and donations. The Bethesda Lodge number 30 IOOF, the general fund, has provided a $1,000 contribution to the Middleton Food Pantry. So I would entertain a motion to accept.
Well, move to accept the $1,000 donations with thanks to the Bethesda Lodge number 30.
I'll second that with thanks also.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, if any? That's unanimous. Okay, which rolls right into the next topic, saying that we're talking about philanthropic efforts and resources. We're here to talk tonight about 3 of the programs that are operating in town. One of them is the Neighbors in Need. The second is the Mansfield Fund, which this board has been supporting the management that's happening out of the town administrator's office for many years, and then our Middleton Food Pantry. So, town administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So each of these topics have kind of converged organically and met at the same point at the same time. And I think where they're adjacent to each other, it made sense to lump it together as just a general conversation about philanthropic efforts in town, and how resources are used and directed, I guess, in so many words. So we have some representatives from the food pantry here this evening. Additionally, I think to start things off, we have Eileen Twiss, who wears many hats, but today is representing Neighbors in Need. Eileen, if you'd like to speak to that a little bit, I did include a flyer in your packet and some of the changes that organization is going through. And then I think maybe we can round things out at the end, talking a bit about the Mansfield
Is
Fund.
Neighbors in Need still part of the Friends of the Flint effort?
No, it's moved to the 1728 Club.
May I?
Sure. Come visit me.
Thank you. I'm glad you're happy
I'm always happy to see you.
I think the whole room is.
Oh, Jeff, that warms my heart.
Eileen,
Yes,
see you.
Brian, wonderful to be seen. And the rest. So, Neighbors in Need, to answer your question, Brian, about a year ago, in a department head meeting, it was shared with us by the previous library director that the Friends of the Flint are no longer going to continue the program. I was shocked to hear that it would just go away. So that's fine. It no longer meets their mission, and so they're moving on. I decided that since 1728 could use a little shot in the arm, we're a 501c3. I'm currently the treasurer. So we would go under that umbrella, and we brought Neighbors in Need over under our umbrella, and we're functioning through the 1728.
Was there a fund that
club.
came over?
A fund?
Like, was there?
From the
a
balance.
Balance?
Yeah. No, we did get a little bit that was left. Very little.
Okay,
It was spent down.
okay.
So we're starting from scratch, basically. So I started looking for some funds and soliciting some funds, and they're coming in slowly. We did get a wonderful, and I shouted out, Board of Trade last week. Where are we? Last week.
Last week.
And Jim Vining stopped in and from Salem Metal and has offered to graciously grant us $10,000.
No.
Wow.
Nice.
And I spoke with him on my way out of the meeting, and he indicated that he is inclined to do that in more than 1 year.
That's awesome. So that's good to hear as well. That gave us
I don't know if
a
folks
boost.
in town fully comprehend how extremely generous he and his family have been to this town.
Well, I
A
think-
lot of it goes unnoticed, and surely probably by him unmentioned, but in my time in the board here, the things that he's supported that has been very quietly done hasn't gone unnoticed.
We're thrilled. I mean, that was a huge help. I was really starting to worry, what were we going to get done this year? So we're getting more public, it's getting out there, we're getting some money flowing in. I've reached out to the families that I have been made aware of that were receiving help, waiting to see what their needs and wants are. Program's going to look a little different. We've expanded. We have a lot of seniors and veterans in need, and I think that we should be taking care of them year-round, not just at the holidays. So that's our focus, to continue advertising and getting the money and making it more of a program that the town needs. I mean, as town clerk, I get a lot of visits from seniors and veterans looking for help. And I think this will put their needs ahead of what we need to focus on. It's heartbreaking.
And, since we have these other avenues of helping people, Mansfield Fund, Food Pantry, I think it puts, a premium on coordinating the efforts of the three entities. Both in terms of identifying who has a need and in fulfilling that need.
So I would add to that, the Affordable Housing Trust and the work that we're standing up now in concert with Habitat for Humanity. Thank you, CPC and Town Meeting, for providing us some seed capital of, to your point, neighbors in need isn't just at the holidays, and seniors and veterans and others. So, I know you know about this, Eileen, but for folks in the audience at home, the Affordable Housing Trust is also standing up a program, again, with our partners at Habitat for Humanity to support individuals that have needs at home to help keep them in their home. And that could be small needs like handrails and grab bars and a ramp, or it could be significant needs like a leaky roof or, heating system repairs and so forth. And, there are many options here to apply for and get accepted to at no upfront, and in many cases, no cost to the individual. And many times these will be a grant that over a period of time will be forgiven. So I think, the neighbors in need, as you're moving from a holiday focus to a more year-round focus, to Costa's point, I think some of the families that you're identifying can be families of, services and support that they could receive through the Mansfield Fund, maybe services and support through the Food Pantry, and if needed, through the Affordable Housing Trust and the work that we're doing. And just so folks understand, it's not somebody in the town that's going to be making the determination. We went with Habitat Humanity. So it is a process that's professionalized, managed. We're not asking a town employee to do this on the side of their desk, but there's also some, there's an outside entity that's managing this, so it's not, people will feel more comfortable coming in and asking for help.
So that's sort of where we're at. I've advertised on social media now completely. I've sent out hundreds and hundreds of letters, and I'm hoping that we'll start to see more. People who have donated in the past over the years, I have that. We have access to that. Mary Rockwood has graciously agreed to stay on this year, although she's probably going to be moving. So we'll see. She'll always be there for me to just tap into. But I see the program changing a lot. And it has to work for all of us. And I'm getting a lot of people reaching out to volunteer. We actually have our first meeting tomorrow for Neighbors in Need, and it's growing. Some people that I was shocked have heard and want to just come and offer, if it's delivering things or whatever, about going and picking up gift cards, shopping, whatever they need me to do. So we have our first meeting tomorrow, so I'm excited to see what kind of response we'll hear, and Costa has graciously agreed to help manage the funds. And I appreciate that. And so that's where we're at. I mean, I think the program's going to do okay. I think we're going to make it happen.
And thanks for taking it on.
So Eileen, if folks at home that are watching this want to donate or get involved and volunteer, because, I mean, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, especially during the holidays, of the support that's given to families, but as you move this model to more of a year-round support program, how can they get in touch to find out how to either donate, volunteer, or any combination there?
So, as much as I hesitate to use my office, I have to. People know where to find me. I'm the town clerk, and so they can reach out to me at Town Hall. I'm at Memorial Hall, and feel free to come to the town clerk's office or call me at the town clerk's office. I have listed everywhere on Facebook, on all of the community pages, on my own personal page, and I made it public, my home address to mail checks to. We have a website. It's ninmiddleton2025@gmail.com. They can reach out through there. People know how to get me at townclerk@middletonma.gov. So however people are going to reach out, as much as I didn't want to blend the job in, it just happened.
It's
gonna
inevitable.
happen. People
It's
know where to find
inevitable.
me. So, but I'm hearing just today, I posted today on Facebook, and I'm getting lots of messages and lots of calls at the office. So we're getting out there, but it's out there. I'm going to try to send a little blurb in the school newsletters, through the COA newsletter, and just start getting it out there.
Have we done a blast yet through our email and social media channels on the town?
No, if the board's comfortable with it, I will. Typically, if it's a non-town affiliated entity, we don't. And I honestly, as much as I want to support it, I'm hesitant to create
And
the
I haven't
precedent.
put it on the town clerk's.
When it's
page.
fundraising too, which is,
I just think I need to be careful.
Well, I mean, I think when we look at Neighbors in Need, the Mansfield Fund, the food pantry, Mansfield's fund's managed by the town through the gift and bequest that was made by the Mansfield family. The food pantry, like the best number of volunteers, financially, it's managed through the town. I think the bigger message here is, and now with the Affordable Housing Trust Support Program, I think the bigger message here is that, and this is where I think the town should find ways to promote this further, of if you're in need, or you know somebody that's in need, here's a way to reach out. Now, we're going to be opening up a new facility. There's going to be, all sitting under the same roof now is going to be a council on aging, our, community and senior center, our, all of these programs that are going to be sources of folks reaching in, but also reaching out. I'm not asking the town through our town website and communication channels to ask people to contribute, but I see nothing wrong with us actually promoting, if folks have a need, here's how you can get in touch. Or if folks want to volunteer, time, talent, or treasury, this is how you can get in touch. I think that's a logical utilization of our communication channels. We're not endorsing one way or the other, although I endorse you, Eileen. I think that would be a logical, and, especially going into the holiday season, I mean, I see the number of Mansfield notes that we sign every year. And it hasn't gotten smaller, it's only gotten larger, and so I'm ecstatic that people are utilizing it, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows these opportunities are here, and as Neighbors in Need moves from like mostly a holiday focused to more of a year-round focus, I mean, there's a lot of synergies at the food pantry, the Mansfield Fund, and all of these.
And, you mentioned all the vouchers that we signed. I think this is, it's an opportunity to sort of coordinate, the entities and the help provided. We have given vouchers for shopping, for food, and for
Utilities, oil and gas,
Yes,
and
So I suggest that the Mansfield Fund fund the energy vouchers, and the food pantry money fund the food vouchers. Because people who gave to the food pantry did it, to help meet the food needs of the people of Middleton. And whether that is by them going to the food pantry to picking up a bag of food, or a bag of food being delivered to them, or a voucher that they can go to the supermarket, to buy what they need. It all, I think, meets the intent of the people who gave money to the food pantry.
so what is today, I'm not looking for an exact number, but what's in the food pantry account?
I want to say about 270. And we have the food pantry with us today, actually, if you want to join us at the table as well.
Yeah, come on up. Yeah, sure. And just for everybody at home, you can introduce yourself.
Yep. Hi, I'm Colleen Mollison. I am the manager of the Middleton Food Pantry. I have been volunteering there for the past 7 years. I've been volunteering at the senior center for the past 6 years. And I've been living in the town of Middleton for the past 10 and a half years. And
Thank you, thank you, and thank you. So, for folks at home, right now, the town has a food pantry that is located at the senior center, which is at the old town hall. Not soon to be the old town hall, as it's probably going to be known shortly as we move to our new facility. But as part of our new facility, not just is the Council on Aging moving, but the food pantry is going to be moving to a much different space that's going to have a lot more capabilities, size, and ability there that, and I somehow seem to think once this campus opens up, there's probably going to be a lot of traffic of folks coming in to see what they've been spending their tax dollars on. And it's probably an opportunity to expand exposure to the food pantry, both utilization and what we seem to do almost every single meeting, which is approving very generous donations from businesses, individuals, foundations, and the rest. So, Costa, to your point, I actually think that argument makes a lot of sense, because I've looked at the Mansfield Fund and how, initially, when I was first on this board, we were using the Mansfield Fund for around Thanksgiving and around the holidays in December of providing vouchers for meals for families that were struggling. But during the time, we were originally providing it for fuel vouchers for, originally it was folks that had gas heating or oil heating, and that has moved to, I think, also include electric for those that may, I thought we were including electric. Okay.
Just the two fuels and then the
But,
groceries.
like, I think of the time that I've been on the board, what the cost of groceries have increased, but what the cost of heating has gone up during that period. And I think while the Mansfield Fund has continued to be very generous in its return that we've been able to utilize, I actually think on the utility front, we could actually make a bigger effort of probably supporting more folks.
Yeah, use of Mansfield funds for energy assistance. The board, went in that direction about 18 years ago. Before that, it was just, food vouchers. And, I think, it makes a lot of, sense. People in need tend to have multiple needs that if we can,
Braid it together.
yep, we can, meet more of the needs of more
What is,
people.
and I know it fluctuates based on investment income that is done by the firm that manages the investments of that account, but on average, what is our utilization budget for the Mansfield Fund?
According to Sarah's note, last year we received $24,500.
Okay.
And a third supposed to go to the worthy poor of the town of Middleton. That could be the fuel assistance. A third, go for band concerts during the summer months. That third should go to the rec commission, which does concerts during the summer. And a third for a picnic for the children and residents of Middleton. I think that should go to Chief Wills, which is, in essence, a picnic for town residents.
Truly.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we followed those guidelines,
We would have about $8,000
in fuel assistance.
in fuel assistance. And then if we're able to, to move, the food assistance through the food pantry.
So would that strap the food pantry from what they're currently doing?
We weren't giving,
Was next.
hundreds of, tens of thousands of dollars in meal voucher,
It's
food
about-
vouchers, it was maybe $5,000 or $6,000
$1,000 a year.
So, given, the size of the funds that it holds, and the ongoing contributions.
That has continued to grow over the years I've been on the board. I mean, again, this evening is a perfect example of, like, and many of these organizations that have been giving regularly give annually to the food pantry. I mean, we saw a huge surge during COVID for obvious reasons, and a lot have remained. I mean, some of that is just because of the work that the volunteers are doing at the food pantry, and folks want to step in and do more, so.
And I would mention, Jillian had a prior obligation this evening, wanted to be here, but couldn't make it. But I guess, Colleen, do you have any concerns about using those funds in that manner, or, or any suggestions or recommendations, with full understanding that the pantry is going to be going through an assumed period of growth in terms of access and use when we move into the new building? I mean, obviously, $270,000 and change is a pretty large sum, and I don't think it would be drawn down too significantly with the numbers we're talking about here. But I mean, what are your thoughts on it, since you're at the table?
Well, my concern is that Frank Leary has been fundraising for many years for the food pantry. This money is in a gift account at the town for food purpose of the Middleton Food Pantry only. It really shouldn't be touched by any other organization in the town. And there is a Massachusetts law stating this fact, that no other organization in the town, even though we are under a municipality, can take the money from us for their organizations. And I think it's only fair that any other organization in Middleton should be coming up with their own funding.
Well, the Mansfield Fund is a fund that is actually, for lack of a better term, it's a gift fund as well, that has been granted to the town. Now, there's requirements when it was granted to the town by the Mansfield family. Now, the dollars are managed different from all of our other funds. Like, right now, the dollars that are in your gift account are managed as part of all of the town's investments in that investment portfolio. The Mansfield Fund is managed separately by, I believe, an outside investment firm.
By its own.
Yeah, by its own. So, but the dollars that are utilized through the Mansfield Fund are utilized, for all intents and purposes, as a gift fund, which is the same fund where the dollars sit for the food pantry. And, you know, I brought this up, and the town administrator can tell you, I brought this up numerous times as the food pantry fund has grown. At some point, like, this is a good-sized fund. Man, there's almost $300,000 sitting in that fund, and it's continued to grow, which I give a lot of credit to everybody that's involved. A ton of it to Frank. I mean, this was his brainchild. But I also know it's you, it's the other folks that are in the room, folks that aren't here, that has continued to do that. We've had companies that have come into this town that have opened up. We had one company that came in that opened up a facility off of 114 that made a very substantial contribution to the food pantry fund. I wouldn't say it was at the behest of the town, but the fund contribution was made. And I, for some time, have wondered if this is a fund that should move into its own 501c3.
We are now a 501c3
So,
as of October 17th.
so have the dollars been transferred over from
Not
the
yet.
town?
Not yet.
That I'm aware of. I think you may have to actually authorize to move it if you're the ones voting to
So,
accept it.
so I'm seeing,
Let me just say, you know, I did not mean to imply that we just raid the food pantry dollars, but that the food pantry chooses to do this thing that has been done, you know, in the past from other funds, because those other funds can also go to the fuel assistance, whereas the food pantry funds really should be for food assistance to the town. So we can maximize the aid that we provide to the citizens in need in Middleton by each, you know, the food pantry doing food, neighbors in need doing non-food, non-energy assistance. And then that way we coordinate the money that's available to aid people in need. And we also, you know, share information as to who the needy are so that we are kind of meeting all of them. So I'm sorry if they came out as sort of rating the funds that have been donated to the food pantry. That was not my
but
intention.
I just, and I'm not picking a fight here, but I just want to be clear. The dollars that are sitting in the gift fund were dollars that were contributed to the town of Middleton, that the town of Middleton is in the custody of. I'm not looking to take the dollars. Don't get me wrong by any way, but I just want to be clear that, and this is, and I appreciated what was created there and what it has turned into. I also appreciate the investment that the town has made in building out dedicated space at the new municipal complex. That's going to continue, regardless of the structure that you all have. I actually think an individual or a family in need has the opportunity to be supported by, to Costa's point, Neighbors in Need, the Mansfield Fund, the Food Pantry, now as a 501c3, the Affordable Housing Trust, and quite honestly, the work that is happening every single day by our Council on Aging Director, our Veteran Service Officer, our elementary and high school and middle school staff, and folks that show up at Eileen's office that we help braid together, whether it's these funds and sometimes things outside of these funds, to get folks in town the assistance that they need. I think what Costa's saying here, which I think makes sense, is there's been some duplication that's been happening, and the Mansfield Fund is a perfect example. And the $24,000 annually that we have available to us in the Mansfield Fund is probably not going to continue as that number, because the investment return that we've been able to see over the last 3 to 4 or 5 years, because of obvious economic conditions, are not going to continue, and we shouldn't believe it should continue. Just like contributions to the Neighbors in Need or contributions to the food pantry, or Costa and the CPC continuing to provide dollars to the Affordable Housing Trust. I think this is an opportunity to find a way for each group to have like a swim lane that we can braid together that becomes a one-stop shopping. And some of it is going to be managed by outside organizations, some of it Mansfield and the Affordable Housing Trust that is managed directly by the town. That's my thought.
So,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
My name's Rich Mollison. I'm
Yeah.
Colleen's husband. So there's three organizations that you're talking about. Is there, is this more about a referral program where people would be referred to the food pantry when they need the food supplement or vouchers or whatever else, or distributing funds differently
No, this would,
to support that? So it would be more of organizations working together and referring
yeah,
them to the
absolutely.
right
So
place
I will tell you,
versus-
the folks that, and I'm not going to name names, but the folks that get referred that we support through the Mansfield Fund. And right now, that gets managed through the town administrator's office. Some of those folks come to us by self-referral. Some of those we're being referred to by the schools because they've identified families and needs through the schools. Some of it comes through our council on aging. Some of it comes through our food pantry. Some of it comes through our veteran services officer. Some of it comes from our police and fire departments, the things that they've identified. I mean, our fire chief and his department has just gone through a process of helping to survey homes to make sure that they have smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. And I will tell you, they're probably going to be our biggest referral into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to support individuals that have pretty significant needs in their homes to keep them like life and safety needs. But I will tell you, if somebody has a need at their home, life and safety, they're probably going to have some food insecurity issues. If they have food insecurity issues, they're probably going to have some utility insecurity issues. If they have utility insecurity issues, when the holidays roll around or anything else, the neighbors in need is probably the last stop of helping to fill their needs. And I think if there's a role that the town can play is helping to be a convener of that. But, I think to Costa's point, if the dollars that are spent on food vouchers, which is about $8,000 a year.
No, yeah, last year we combined food and,
Right. Everything was in.
was 13.
That included utilities.
Yeah,
Yes.
food and, so really, yeah, if we're continuing the food vouchers, but the, food pantry was providing, the money, we'd probably be talking $6,000 or $7,000. Now,
Just
maybe.
in the food.
Just in the, but, maybe we can, if we identify more of a need, maybe the food pantry would be able to expand the money that's available for that. That's up to them.
So, Mr. Chair, what I might recommend is, I think maybe just to reiterate some points, so the intent here is that if those vouchers were to go out, it would go under the banner of the Middleton Food Pantry.
Justin, I can't hear.
Sorry. The intent is if those vouchers were to go out, it would go out under the banner of the Middleton Food Pantry. And I think the added benefit there as well is that if you're getting those financial resources in the hands of those individuals once or twice a year, that you're also creating a self-referring system where they may come back and actually go in and use the pantry, tapping into groups that historically may not. I don't think we're going to hash out the process here at this table tonight, but at least the conversation has started. And so if I can follow up with you, Colleen, and Jillian when she's in, and maybe we can talk about, if you're interested, what that might look like and ways that we can kind of help everybody collaborate.
And what would be the process for the $290,000 flow?
I don't know yet.
Because I'm assuming that's going to require a town meeting action.
Possibly.
Yeah, the other thing, now that the food pantry is a 501c3, should we enter into a lease for $1 a year with that entity?
I think the time has come to start that process, because we had been talking about that for some time, but I didn't know you all, it sounds like you just closed the loop on it.
17th of October.
So Costa, the goal would be to be able to give more energy vouchers because some of that money wouldn't go, what would happen with the rest of the Mansfield Fund that wouldn't be spent on food vouchers?
1/3 can go to the worthy poor, as it's,
And that's the third that we've been giving historically.
Right, but so right now, we're taking that money and giving it in food vouchers and energy vouchers. If we don't need to use any of that money for food
it
vouchers,
will all go to energy.
so we would do more energy?
Yes.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, good.
Can
Sure.
I ask a question?
Within the confines of whatever
The
the fund
Mansfield
generates.
Fund's requirements.
That was what I was gonna ask. Has anyone read exactly what the Mansfield funds allow?
Yeah,
That-
Sarah
that
and I
town
both have.
accountant has read it.
It's in the,
That's
A third, yeah.
yeah.
It's in the packet.
I'll reread it. We just don't wanna jump
We
into
could in turn
something.
become an annual, for the town approving, a contributor
I will not read the will
to
itself.
the food bank.
Sarah, I
That
can,
was it.
I can read it later.
No, it's okay, just so that we're all on the same page with it, because some of
How
it
about
in
two?
the packet was cut off, so this way it's more informative. So 1/3 to be distributed among the worthy poor of the town of Middleton at Thanksgiving and Christmas each year, which is why we do the food vouchers at Thanksgiving, and the fuel at Christmas.
No, we do both at both.
We do it.
Oh, I'm sorry,
We
both
do
at
food
both.
at
We
food.
do both
yeah.
Because there's 2 times of the year where we have to do that part of it. Second, 1/3 for band concerts in said Middleton during the summer months. 1/3 for a picnic for the children of the residents of Middleton, including the children of summer residents, and the balance, if any, for other entertainments for such children at any time during the year. Obviously, this will is very old, so it's a different time of Middleton. But those are the 3 uses that we have where a third of the annual contributions should be spent.
And that's why I'd suggested a third go to fuel, energy assistance, a third go to the rec commission, which puts on concerts in the summer, and a third go to Chief Will's committee, which, Chief Will's festival is,
Modern day
Meets
Whalen
the-
Park, for those
Right,
little
right.
kids remember.
But if we did that, the third that went to the rec commission would have to be earmarked
for
concerts.
For
Right.
concerts.
And when they were doing concerts, we were paying for them
Yeah,
from
that's a
that
good
fund.
Yeah,
idea.
it's just, in the COVID years, that is one of the aspects that kind of fell off when
So,
Rec-
is the Chief Will's fund still sitting with the town, or is that now a 501c3?
Yeah.
we fund, there's a
I know
line item,
there's a line item in our budget.
that's all that exists in the town, is the line item within the
Everything
budget.
else is donated.
So I would, that amount hasn't changed in many years. So my thought it would be that stays in the budget, that 5,000, and 1/3 of the Mansfield Fund, because the cost of putting on Chief Will's keeps going up.
In a challenging budget year, tough commitment to make, but something we can aspire.
Or, not eliminate it and, drop it down.
Increase it
I mean,
overall.
th-
Yeah.
There's a significant amount of costs at Chief Will's that aren't really visible that happen within the process, and a lot of that is police and fire and DPW participation, which will continue. The town's gonna continue to do that for a whole slew of reasons, because it's a right. I remember there was a gentleman in town used to call Chief Will's Day Taxpayer Appreciation Day. And I think, that's why there was move at one point at town meeting, I remember years back, of increasing the town's annual allocation through tax dollars for Chief Will's Day. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in town that would argue it's not the best bang for the buck. But as the cost for Chief Will's goes up, and that includes Chief Will's Winter Festival, and, a lot of these activities are happening through groups, not-for-profits, just volunteers. I think of the Pumpkin Festival, it's just reaching its anniversary, and the work that's happened over the years, and the dollars that by the business community and local individuals. For me, I think this is an opportunity to braid together, because we're all supporting the same population here. It's not like this population and receiving food, which is different than this population receiving utilities. And I think as the folks that are coming through the food pantry that's being built out at our new municipal complex that the town's built out, like, here's an opportunity for us to better capture individuals that have need. And, like, yeah, sure.
Just John LeBlanc, 177 Liberty Street. I think the whole thing is a great opportunity as a town, and with all these organizations, with these fine people that volunteer and they do all this work with the 501Cs, like Eileen and Colleen, and everybody spends all this time, and it's great. And we have the wonderful opportunity, a new building, to really show what Middleton is all about. I mean, you've got the money that they have raised over the years, and there's a lot of hard work that's gone into those fundraisings, as everybody has said, with Frank doing all the work, and a lot of the work, not all the work, but a lot of he's a fundraising machine back in the day, and, you know, that can be dealt with as these boards evolve with the 501Cs. These boards are all gonna have their boards, and they're gonna make their votes, and they're gonna say, we all wanna work together, and I could see it, because they're gonna wanna work together to make it better for everybody in the town, not just one group of people. So I think the meaning is all there to do the good, and that's my big thing, that I
I
can
agree.
see. You know?
I think we're in vehement agreement.
Yeah.
So, I'll go back to my earlier point. I think this is an opportunity for the town to do some better promotion, and I think we should be utilizing our channels. We're not asking folks to donate, we're not asking folks to, you know, make a decision. We're just asking for folks, if you have a need, like, there's the food pantry. If you have a need, there's the Mansfield Fund. If you have a need, there's the Affordable Housing Trust. If you have a need, there's Neighbors in Need, and here's how you can get in touch with them all.
And part of, the sort of spreading the word is that, many, people are embarrassed or not willing, to ask for help. By spreading the word, people that know those people can refer them to these groups for help.
Networking, basically, and networking.
Is there, has there been any thought of, given when the municipal campus opens up, to having access to the food pantry at after hours? Specifically for individuals that, because that point of sometimes where I spend a lot of time in Maine, we have a food pantry up there that is actually a building behind the town hall that the doors open 24/7, and it's refrigerated. Folks can come in and drop off, folks can come in and get, and I'll never forget, I was dropping off once at like 11 o'clock at night. And there was a gentleman there that came in, saw me there, and he ran out the door. So I went out and like helped him. There was obviously, he was embarrassed. And he told me he didn't want to go there when folks were at town hall. And so he always comes late at night. Is there an opportunity for like some after hours at that facility that aren't when, all the municipal employees are there and all of the, folks are coming in to pay their bills and pay their taxes and pay their this or that, or receive whatever information they need from the town?
We haven't established official hours, but the food pantry is going to follow more in line with the staffing availabilities of the Council on Aging Community Center side of the building. And so I think in the spirit of that, we can kind of stagger them out of the typical business hours of the town hall side of the building, which I think might help accomplish your goal.
And they have their own door.
They have a separate entrance for shopping purposes and drop-off purposes.
So you don't have to walk in the foyer, you can walk right in the side there. But,
As far as all night, I think that might be a.
Well, I'm not
big
saying keep
chief
that door
question.
open. No, but the reason why, I use that as an example, is the reason why it was done is folks didn't want to go during the,
Oh,
and I
100%.
can understand that.
100%.
No, but the way it's done now is it's done on Friday when nothing's
Yes,
happening.
I know that.
Yeah, so
I know that.
it makes it really comfortable, or more comfortable. But
But just
to your
folks
point,
know,
it's
yeah.
gonna be a busy place.
I'm not going to be there and run into my neighbor and be embarrassed.
Or it may not be an opportunity for a voucher for some people that don't want to go to the food
Exactly.
pantry, but want to take advantage of food pantry funding.
Mr. Chair, an important topic, but we're about a half hour
Yeah,
behind.
no, okay, I appreciate it.
Eileen, thank you for taking that on. And you know what? Change is a good thing.
I hope so.
Change can be
Yeah.
a very,
People understand it.
I had no idea they'd become 501c3.
Solid.
right,
Recently.
You're welcome.
it's year round.
Okay, an update on the bylaw review committee and some discussion around a mission revision.
Bylaw Review Committee.
Oh, I'm up again.
Thank you, Colleen. We appreciate your
Thank you.
time and
Thank you,
everything you
Colleen.
do.
Let's talk. I'm inviting JJ Domino up. It's time to introduce JJ. JJ, I hired JJ some time ago, and the town administrator's office is borrowing him for a short time.
We're trying to poach him.
Not working. So JJ has been working.
It's a lot of fun up at the town administrator's office. You should spend some quality time.
It's a great
up
time.
there.
We have a blast. Yeah.
Not as much fun as my office.
It's not what he said.
Oh. So JJ is also on the bylaw review committee and approached me several years ago actually at a forum, a public forum, and I said, would you like to be on the committee? I need members. And here he is, all this time later.
All right, JJ.
So, briefly, because it needs to be brief, JJ and I have talked endlessly about redoing our mission statement. It contradicts itself. It hasn't been productive when we have our meetings. I think Bill Renault is here, as it turns out.
Not speaking on this at all.
No, I'm not asking you to, Bill. So we want to just tweak our mission statement. It was in the packet. There was a memo enclosed as well. I assume everything was forwarded. It's pretty straightforward. I don't know if you have any questions, but I think we need to, as we move forward, moving into this zoning review. I think the bylaw review committee has to be very clear on what they can and can't do, what's expected based on what's spelled out in the charter. And I think that thanks to JJ researching many communities, like over 20, I think, to really get a concise statement for our committee to follow. Jeff, you're on our committee. You know what it's been like, and I think it's pretty clear. So I would appreciate your blessing so we can move forward and get it out to our committee so that there's a better understanding as we start to head into our busy season. That's what I've got.
I think the proposed language is very appropriate.
Does this require a vote by this board?
I would
Well,
say so.
it's kind of a gray area in the charter. JJ and I go back. We bantered this is an hour ago.
Is it
It is
removed?
gray.
I'm sorry.
100%.
I think you should bless it.
Is it removing and replacing with this?
The old mission statement, which is very old, and has, again, some contradictions in it. I looked back, and it wasn't really done through the board officially. It was sort of done up in the town administrator's office, and we all agreed, and okay, yeah, we gotta get going. We finally have a full board, and then, boom, it was born. So I think it should just have your, why don't we just,
Sure.
So for the public, could you just highlight the changes?
Or just
Yeah, go ahead.
read the changes.
Well, I think
Go
explaining
ahead.
them would be
Yeah,
more
well,
beneficial.
read,
you
explain.
wanna do it? You did it.
Of course. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So very much of it, most of it stays the same. I'd say more than half of it stays the same. It's just kind of that middle chunk which changes. So it takes kind of what is scattered about the old committee and lays out just at the third paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, what those goals should be. Throughout, it was in the old mission statement, it was scattered about, and because of that scattering, it contradicted each other. For example, it says don't make substantive changes in that first paragraph, but then the second paragraph, or the second bullet point down there, it says delete bylaws. Inherently deleting a bylaw is a substantive change. So also it says make sure the bylaws are relevant. That's very subjective. Changing something like relevant to instead not obsolete. When something's obsolete, that's very clear. So those are basically the largest changes in terms of the mission statement, putting those goals all in one sentence and making so that they don't contradict. And then later on in the proposed document, through research of other similar communities, what they do, they also kind of lay out a process, a relationship with this board, a relationship with town meeting, because bylaw amendments are governed highly by state law, so making sure that the process follows basically the lead of the select board. More solidifying the bylaw review committee as an advisory body to the select board, and advising the select board as the foremost policy body of the town, and the bylaw review committee kind of focused on more of those minutiae of the details of the bylaws and making sure they remain internally consistent.
Thanks.
So I'll move to endorse the proposed bylaw review committee mission.
There's a motion, is there a second? There is a second by Deb. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, if any? That passes unanimously.
Thanks.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, next on the agenda is a department head update, and this evening's department head update is our police chief, Chief William Sampson. And I think I also saw here.
I see a captain
I see
here,
a captain
too.
here as well. So, Chief, come on up. You can sit over here if you want.
Hi, Chief.
I understand. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of give an updates on, we got a lot of those 3 new positions. So just show where we're at with the hiring. We were able to hire 2 full-time certified officers. One has completed their training, their field training, is a solo officer right now. We have another one that within the next few weeks should be completing his FTO program, so he'll be a solo officer. That would have gotten us up to 1, however, we had a retirement. Dave Aranthus retired after 30-something years, so that puts us
Although
back.
I hear he's the newest recruit as a reserve officer.
He is a new recruit. We had to kind of twist his arm to get him back, but we were able to get him back, so he's back on board. So that leaves us with 2. We have interviews set up for the end of the week with a few applicants that they're not certified, but they do have a good background. They have educations in criminal justice, so we're hopeful that they'll work out. And then we have a couple scheduled for next week, if those ones don't work out. So we do have some.
So
good people.
some that you're interviewing, are these individuals that have been through academy?
No, that's the only thing. They are not academy graduates.
Are there many opportunities out there today to find folks that are academy certified?
Not like they used to be, because everybody's looking. There's been such a turnover in the police field in the last few years that the jobs are, the jobs are just, they're not as sought after as they used to be. So it's taken a little bit more, where we used to have 30, 40 applicants, now you're down
So,
to under 10.
9, 10.
So with this third candidate, this third position with the candidates, if it ends up being a candidate that obviously is not academy trained, how long would it be, do you think, until he or she would be through the
academy's-
process and be on the roads?
The background check usually takes 2 to 3 weeks, because we're pretty in-depth on those. And then we have to get them into the next academy. They have to pass the PT test to get certified for that, psychological exams, medical exams, and then the academy's 6 months. And then when they get out of the academy, it's another 3 months of field training. So that's one of the issues when you don't have
So
certified people.
back in the day, we used to be able to kind of like grab a slot at the academy before we had a candidate. Can we still do that?
There's plenty of academies because they've actually added academies.
Okay.
So now you have, we used to have a couple of the colleges were doing it, and that was a great program. Merrimack just did away with it. Another college just did away with it. They didn't, just the academics, they didn't like the academic setting. The academic folks didn't
Yeah.
like that well, so they got rid of those. But we do have the northeast one that's open to us.
Up
We have the
in
new
Lowell?
Linfield one. So we definitely have, the academy spaces are there if
Okay.
we can get them in.
So it's not a case of hiring somebody then having to wait for a slot to open?
Correct.
Good.
Correct. Because again, they're not filling like they used to.
So between the academy, the field training, it could be a year from now before the full impact of the 3 additional positions is being.
Correct. Well, we have 2 that got hired, but the additional ones.
But then you got
Correct.
lost 1, so
Right.
so really you're up 1.
We're up 1, we're plus 1.
Yeah, so that, I think, people have to realize that the good things that the expansion of the police force that they approved isn't going to really be seen for a while.
And, you know, that's when I spoke of these over the last few years, that's one of the things, that if you have an application process, from the first time basically turn in their application, it's about a year before they're a sole officer. And that's if everything goes well. They're able to pass the academy, they're able to pass the FTO program. So there's a lot of variables that go with that.
And also presuming that we do not lose either by retirement or relocation of any other officer.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So when do they become an employee of the police department? After they pass the academy or when you first?
No, they're an employee at
Yeah,
the academy.
At the academy, they're
So
employed.
they're being paid by the town?
Correct.
while they're in-
Correct.
And
That's
they-
why, go ahead, sorry.
Do they do anything at all at the police department while they're in the academy? They just?
Now, it's Monday through Friday, they have weekends, they have homework.
Okay.
Things like that, so it's busy, and it's very taxing on them and their families to go through the academy, so basically, that's all they
So,
are.
Chief, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I've always wondered this. So we put somebody through the academy, he or she graduates, goes through the next phase, and then 3 months later leaves and goes to the town of Anywhereville. Do they owe anything back to the town?
There is contracts that have been successful. Believe it or not, when they first started doing contracts to say, if we're going to send you to the academy, you have to agree to work for the town for 3 years, 5 years. Someone sued, and they went back to the Indentured Servant Act,
Yeah.
where you can't have somebody force them to work for you.
This is all part of the non-compete law that's also changed in Massachusetts. But
Correct.
I thought there was a bill, because I had a friend's son who just went through the academy and just landed at the Lawrence Police Department.
Right.
And if he leaves, he has to pay $3,500.
Yeah, what you can do, there are certain contracts that can pay for training expenses, and those are things that we can do, to say if you leave, you have to pay for the, but again, you're talking, you lost the person for a year.
Yeah, I get
And then
it.
you have to start again. You do recoup some of the funds that you spent on training, but it's disappointing. It's
Roll the
disheartening.
dice.
Correct.
Yep, got it.
Correct. So that's what we're hoping for now. We did have the new policy on the retired detail officers.
Yes.
A longtime employee, Officer Tommy McParlin, came in today and met with me. He's interested in taking one of those positions, which was interesting because he's been gone, he's been retired for a little bit, but he's looking forward to coming back to Middleton.
Okay.
Good news.
Yeah, agreed.
Chief, so at some point, let's say a year from now, we are officially at full staff. What things are going to look different at the department? Like, is there, not lost on you, probably not lost on any of the board, this, one area that I get a lot of calls or issues about is, hey, there's a lot of speeding in my street over here. There is, maybe we can talk a little bit about where, fingers crossed, we're at full staffing. What does that look like?
The more people that we have, the more specialization we can do. So one of the things that I've always wanted to do is make a traffic-specific officer. They would be solely responsible for traffic, any areas that we're having, any different times, the schedule would be flexible. They also would be trained in accident reconstruction, so if we have serious accidents, they could respond to that rather than having to wait for the state police, if the state police come out at all, because now they're only doing fatals, so it's not quite a fatal. So you can specialize in traffic enforcement, DUI enforcement, and accident reconstruction. And that's one of the spots that we had talked about. School resource officer is another one. We have the school resource officer now that works part-time in Masco and kind of handles things that come up in the town for the other two schools.
Part of the collaborative agreement that we've made.
It's a collaborative agreement where we could make that a full-time position and just be dedicated to just doing school, related things.
Also including the elementary schools.
Correct.
Old schools.
Correct. The investigation portion, like I said, we've really beefed that up. So now we have them that are doing phenomenal. We put Officer Aganis, once the person finishing FTO is done, he will be in the detective unit. They get a lot of training in there, and they do a lot of good work that really people feel when they're victims of crime.
Okay.
All good news.
All positives.
Any update? I know you were going through the process of kind of cataloging everything that's sitting in your old dusty
Mind?
No, not your mind. Old, my old dusty mind's going to get the term in a second. The everything that you collect, evidence room. Evidence.
Yes.
How's that process going in advance of moving to the new facility?
Excellent. We've hired a company to come in. It was actually retired Colonel Gilpin from the Mass State Police. Came in, did a full audit. So what the plan was, we really haven't had an audit in the evidence room in many, many years. So she came in with the captain, they went through all the evidence, and what they did is logging things, anything that was missing, anything that was out of place, anything that we could get rid of, so that we could clear that out. So once that's completed, the evidence room will be spotless. So ready to move into the new facility, so there'll be nothing missing, there'll be nothing that doesn't belong. And when we get into the new facility, the evidence room should be pristine, and then we just work from there.
And were there a lot of items that were able to?
Oh, yeah, plenty, plenty. Yeah, so you could take a big chunk of those out that were either the cases had been closed, the dispositions were finished, that we didn't really need to retain the evidence anymore.
Yep.
So those are big things. And there were things in there that, the way they used to handle evidence rooms years ago and how we handle them today are different. We're going to have a new process, a new system in place, the technology, that's going to be able to catalog and log everything that it's in there. The number one problem we have in our police departments in corruption over the history of the country has been out of the evidence room. There's a lot of things unaccountable for. They just go missing.
Logged incorrectly.
Checks and balances aren't properly there. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay. Good.
Sometimes staffing prevents you from being able to do checks and balances.
It does. It does. I mean, the more staff we have, the more we can do.
Exactly.
That's why these three positions were,
So when do you think you may be back before us with a candidate for
Hire.
full-time hire?
We're hoping within a month. If we
Well,
get
actually, it'll be two candidates.
two candidates, correct. If we are able to identify people that we think would be a good fit, complete the background, because what I want to bring them to you is we've done all of vetting. These are the people that we, are hopeful that are going to be excellent candidates. So
able to pass the
hopefully
academy.
within a month and a half, we should be able to have somebody before you.
Yeah.
Hopefully both.
We tried to, any effort to get people that, specifically that are already through the academy, anything, have we really tried that avenue?
Word's out.
We call that poaching, trying to poach from other agencies.
The word's out.
Yeah, we do have failures out there, and yes, most definitely we have that.
Which is how we got the last two.
Yeah, the last two came from, two agencies. Actually, yeah, and there was one prior to that as well, so.
But if I could, for a moment, a lot of times what you run into is it's got to fit the person's need and lifestyle, because for someone to already be X amount of years academized in another
Start all
PD,
over here.
they're giving up seniority.
They're giving up
So-
days to.
I mean, there's obviously, a gain or whatever, so it's not as big a pool of people as you think. You could have a lot of people I know, officers I know, that would, had it not been for, well, I'm already in here 12 years and I've got seniority and I'm looking at sergeant or whatever, so.
And you also look at why they want to leave.
Yeah.
Because you do have people that have baggage that comes with them. And just, I look at it is it's a year before we have somebody where this person could be immediate, but it also could be 20 years of misery.
Right.
20 years of problems. So it's not always an easy offsuit. So you got to kind of weigh everything to see why they want to leave, why they're coming. And there are legitimate reasons that people leave an agency for another one. But there's also ones that you got to be wary of as well.
Are college and university forces good sources of trained and academy-trained?
They are now. Before when you went to the campus police academy was different than the municipal police. So it didn't you couldn't take them and put them over. You'd have to resend them to the academy, and that was done on purpose so that they didn't leave.
Yep.
It kind of held them there with the academy for the college that didn't. I couldn't just bring them over. But with the new post, they've eliminated that. They've let them go to bridge academies. They've certified certain college academies. So they are up for grabs now, you could say. And a lot of those have left the college setting and went into municipal policing for that exact reason.
And some from the correctional field too.
Yeah, sheriff's office were also the same thing. They came into that bridge academy and they were considered certified full-time law enforcement officers. So sheriffs that were working for the sheriff's department went over to municipals, and that before couldn't be done because their academies weren't interchangeable, which they are now. So we got to feel us out and look for all those ones.
Okay, so hopefully by sometime in November, you may be in with two candidates?
That's our hope.
And then our hope is maybe in January they'll be in an academy?
That would be perfect.
Okay. Great.
If we don't find
Is one in
certified people. in
January
return.
starting? Well, one I'm aware
I
of.
know there's a couple that coming up. I don't have the exact dates right now, but,
I know one person going in January.
yeah. So, yeah.
Anything further for the chief?
Thanks, chief.
Thanks,
Thank
Chief.
you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night. Thanks for everything.
Thanks, Cap. Okay, next on the agenda is, finally, the introduction of a facilities director, Peter Coleman.
I know.
So, Peter, come on
He's
up.
been sitting here for a while, poor guy.
Been doing a lot of nodding. So, Peter, welcome aboard. We've, this board has, for many years, talked about the introduction of a facilities director. Probably delayed that discussion for a while. However, here we are, leading into the opening of a new municipal complex, and I'm sure you've spent some time over there already and seen it. So, lucky to you, I'll tell you a story. When we hired this guy, he never got to see the building until he walked in his first day. So
By design.
That was by design. That was by design. So I'm glad you've had to see that. But, you know, this is one big major step forward in the development of a process to make sure that not only we're investing in new facilities, but maintaining new facilities. And other than the library, and I guess Hal Manning, we haven't made an investment like this with such a technologically advanced facility. So, you know, opportunity for you to tell this board a little bit about yourself and why you wanted to come to the town of Middleton.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board, it's nice to meet you all. I've had the pleasure of meeting friends from the town administrator's office, so thank you both for your consideration, and Superintendent Goodwin as well. Yeah, I'm very excited about this opportunity. I presently work at Gordon College, where we have roughly 1,200 students living on campus, or 900,000 square feet of facilities to look after, and very close relationship with Wenham Fire, and all the challenges you can imagine that higher education, and particularly a small liberal arts college, would face in this day and age. And there are some capital projects going on there that are very exciting, but the room for advancement is limited, and the school is under its inevitable challenges, as is our most private liberal arts colleges. And so I started to look around, and I saw this opportunity posted, and I thought, gosh, this is very interesting. I find that I thrive in an environment whereby I can really ensure that the building envelope, and the occupants are safe. It's something I'm very passionate about, something I enjoy doing. I've been doing that, of course, at the college for years now, and very different paradigm for me versus having, from 17-year-old to 23-year-old residents occupying buildings to having generally unoccupied buildings overnight, which is kind of a pleasant change. And I think that this is a wonderful opportunity, particularly as I've sat here in this meeting and just heard how the NIN and other programs could potentially leverage this wonderful new facility to serve those in need, or serve those who have needs, be they evident and obvious or not. And that's quite encouraging to me. I spent 20 years of my past as a humanitarian worker in Latin America, and so I'm quite passionate about serving those in need. It was a 501c3 here out of Massachusetts, but it was in Latin America for about 20 years. And so for me, this is an exciting opportunity, not exclusively facilities director role, as it is a fusion of my interest in serving the residents of Middleton and those in need, and your occupants and your other civil servants, to make sure that they're comfortable, that they're safe, and that this massive investment is looked after and cared for decades to come.
Good. Well, I don't know if you have any questions here for the board. More specifically, I mean, you're going to be stepping into a brand spanking new facility, and Brian's promised us when you get the keys, it's, the punch list is going to be a big zero. But we're going to have some challenges ahead of us in terms of just the management of this, because it's going to be different for us. I mean, I just think of the green space outside. It's probably larger than any other green space that we have right now. you know, we have a lot of green space in town, but it's all scattered around, and some of it is fields. This is truly going to be like the jewel of the town. We're building a new town center for all intents and purposes. And, you know, I think about the use that's going to happen to there, but the expectations of what that's going to look like going forward and the maintenance around there. And never mind, you know, these facilities are large, but they're going to be probably utilized much more than our current facilities are. So I don't know if you have any questions for us.
I'm excited. I see that the hydro seeding's been done. I'm excited to see, you know, the punch list stay at 0. Anyways, but to see it really take on life. I don't have any specific questions for you at this moment, but if you have any for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
What type of, like you mentioned, you had some capital projects underway over there at the school, which is ongoing. I don't know what phase it's in now, but in recent history, because it's been there a while, how many newer things that, you know, is there a comparison to what we have, you know, down the street here that you've experienced within the last handful of years?
The college, about 20 years ago, built their physical plant, which is a large 5-bay, slightly smaller than your public safety building. Our public safety and our police officers are not based in that building, but they're comparable in size and utility. And then since then, we've just done a massive, quite a large, $3 million upgrade on our chapel, which if you know Wenham, you probably have seen the steeple. And a lot of smaller projects, adding you know, air conditioning to dormitories to, you know, $1.5 million, $2 million, relatively small compared to what's happening down the street. But doing that while you have you know, residents and people occupying the buildings, rather challenging. You know, ongoing elevator upgrades, a lot of HVAC. It's an older campus. It's a beautiful campus. Some of the buildings are very old. And never meant to have, you know, this level of comfort, and they're getting them. So some challenges aligned with that.
So, you know, I've been on the Gordon campus. It's been a while, but I'm expecting we're probably going to have equipment and systems that are going to be a lot more advanced than you may be looking at Gordon right now. And your current role is mostly focused around mechanical and electrical, but tell me how you think you're going to, like, prepare yourself for what is coming on board with a pretty technologically advanced systems that are going to be at both of these facilities, but also, like, some of our facilities, including those that will be mothballed, but like our library that used to be our technologically advanced system that really isn't anymore. Like, how are you going to prepare yourself for some of that?
Some of it started really with our walkthrough about 2 weeks ago. I learned quite a bit. I didn't spend any at the moment, but I didn't get over every single ceiling tile. I noticed that there are some PRF systems with state-of-the-art, high efficiency energy recovery units, et cetera, that I presently work with at the college. The college does have a commitment to you know, being a good custodian of its resources and reducing its energy consumption, which is a big project for such a large campus. As far as the grounds go, I actually was the superintendent of grounds for a short period of time at Gordon College, and quite passionate about it. So I think that for me, the biggest pain point would be perhaps card access and locksmithing, only because it's always underestimated. It's very complex. And a card reader goes kaput, and someone can't find the right master key. It can be quite a big problem. So that it really comes down to planning and making a process in place, and
can't wait to turn over to the credentials to that system to you. I just set them up 2 weeks ago.
Okay, there we go.
Good. No, I appreciate that. Any further questions? Well, I welcome you aboard, Peter. We look forward to working with you. We also look forward to next spring when you come in during our budget session to hear from you. It'll be happening right around the same time. I don't know, will we be doing it in our new facility?
We're not going to make promises today.
Brian promised us.
Brian didn't make that promise.
Poor Brian.
Not putting Brian on the
This Brian made the promise.
Well, we look forward to working with you, but mostly, like, welcome to Middleton.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and grateful to the town and to your residents, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
And the start date, Justin?
December 1st.
Thanks, Peter.
Great.
You're welcome to stay if you want. If
Thank you.
If you want to go home and,
You're also welcome to go.
yeah, I was just going to say, you're also welcome to go.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment. Are there any folks in the room that have any public comment? Hearing none. So, next on the agenda is the Middleton Municipal Campus Update. Ryan, come on up.
Looking forward to working with you, Peter.
And Bill, come on up.
Thank you. I don't know who's happier to have a facility director, you guys or me? I think it's me.
No, we got eyes in there, Brian. We got eyes in there.
So the answer to your question on getting up to speed and training is that we have an extensive amount of training that goes on during the commissioning of the systems. And so having you start on December 1st is absolutely critical because that's when we're going to start the training process. So every system, you'll be part of the commissioning and you'll learn, you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Brian
Jackie,
knows our
does he have
technology
a
here
desk?
better than anybody else.
Sorry?
Does he have a desk?
Yeah, we'll have office space for him. He'll have office space in a couple of different buildings because he'll be a little on the go.
Do we have a vehicle?
We do.
Okay.
Used.
Okay.
A hand-me-down.
That's okay.
And a plow?
Mm-hmm.
Take it away, Brian and Bill.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the TV swarming up here. Where you go?
Oh, there you go.
Brian, I think you may use that technology more than any other town
I think
related.
this is fantastic.
I know. You
Have one of those at home or something? Or you just-
Most of the schools we work in, they have all these smart boards. They're pretty nice. All right, thanks for having me back. I think it was a month ago, the last time I was in front of you, so a lot to report on. Chairman Renaud is with me tonight because we have some things that we want to talk to you about too. So I'll start with my presentation and then I'll turn things over to Chairman Renaud to go over some things. So we're continuing to provide you our monthly updates, the OPM reports. I know Justin shares that with you in your packets. There's a lot of information in there. You know, we spent, I'm the one that creates these. So I hope you get a chance to look at it because there's an awful lot of data in there. So just give you a real overview on what's contained in there. In terms of project schedule, this is the original schedule, and we're right where we said we would be. We're beginning the process of starting up and testing of equipment now in the buildings, which is a really fantastic milestone to be at. Finishes in both buildings are full bore. I mean, both buildings, carpeting's going down in different rooms, ceilings are getting whited out, lights are installed on almost all of Town Hall and they're being powered. So the buildings, I mean, every day are looking more and more finished. So very happy with the progress of work. We had been reporting to the building committee that, we were seeing some delay in the overall project, largely due to the site. Because of many different points. I get into it in the report, but I'm happy to report that we're taking a 28-day delay down to 5. So we've made some really good progress. We've done that by working additional crews on the site. We have 3 crews working. They're working 10-hour days, and they've been working Saturdays, and that's how we've been able to recover schedule. So that was really good news, and we reported to the building committee the one thing that hit our critical path after the site was off was the open stair in the town hall lobby, and I'm happy to report that started last week. So all good news, and it's looking fantastic. I actually was in there today. The overview here of the site plan, just in terms of setting expectations, the area in blue is the area where up to the former parking lot to the golf course. That portion of the site is going to remain still a construction area through this year. Just as we're going to present to you in a little bit, there's some changes that the building committee would like to make to this corner of the site. And so we're kind of pushing ourselves to that back corner. But we will be delivering the buildings to you either late January, very early February, and those buildings will be ready. It just means a portion of the site won't quite be there. But other than that, we're going to be pretty much done with everything. We're in really good shape. This is a picture from today of the town green from our web camera. So this shows you where things are right now. They finished the hydro seed this morning. The prep for the walkway through the town green is in.
Is
we have
that the
one-
walkway that was added, correct?
No, this is the original one that was in. We'll talk to you about an added walkway in just a little bit, but yeah, this is one that was part of the plan, so that's in. So the light pole bases are there. It hasn't been paved. We actually told them today to hold off on the paving because of some of these changes we're talking about. I want to do everything once and do it so it all blends in. Again, it's not going to have any impact on the delivery of the buildings and your ability to occupy the buildings. So I think we're in good shape there. And then another picture here, just looking more towards the public safety building. You can see in the front of the public safety, 114 is to your right. All the landscaping is going in, plants are getting dropped off and positioned, and some of the paver areas are prep is underway right now. Very much focused on the exterior. Things are really shaping up. And then we finally are in Route 114. I've been reporting to you for a couple months that we should have been doing it any moment now, and we were delayed by some additional requirements by DOT that were added on schedule. So once we got that resolved, we were able to get out into the roadway. So they are about 2 weeks away from putting in the new sidewalks and the apparatus apron, sidewalk section that's concrete. And then we are going to remove those barriers the third week. We did a couple things. We are not going to be finished paving Route 114 this year. And the reason being there's twofold. One is the MELD generator requires a gas connection, and the engineering of that didn't get wrapped up until about 2 months ago. And so National Grid has to go through a permitting process, and they're not going to make this year's moratorium.
Is the gas line stubbed to the road?
Actually the gas line is sort of right in the middle where those middle cones start. It's going to connect right there.
Okay.
And so the issue that we had with DOT, and Chairman Renaud mentioned it to me, he says the way they look at Route 114 is if we are in the road and we have to make a patch, they want curb to curb from extreme end to extreme end of where we touch. And if we went ahead and did what we were planning on doing in 3 weeks, and then in the spring when the gas line goes in, they would force us to repave the whole thing yet again. So we'd be ripping out new work, which would just doesn't make any sense. We also, on Thursday, while we were prepping for the apparatus apron, they were excavating out, there was a water service, which I think was from the original farmhouse, that was uncovered. It had been buried. And so Danvers Water confirmed that it's still active. So we have to get into Route 114 to cut and patch that anyway. So we're hopefully going to try and get it done this year. But regardless, we're in Route 114 next year for either gas and or water. So that's the update there. But we're going to go ahead and restripe Route 114 with the new configuration for the preemptive signal. So DOT to give us approval to use paint. We don't have to use thermoplastic markings, knowing that it's going to all get obliterated once we repave. The apparatus bay, the doors are in. A lot of work is going in the overhead. This was just a week ago, this picture. Today, when I was in there, it's even double the amount of stuff that's gone in. The vehicle exhaust system is going in now, and some more of the overhead door work is underway too. So it's the apparatus bay is looking really good. The day room for the fire station, I mean, it doesn't look as finished, but the reality is it's all done. Everything's just protected to make sure it doesn't get damaged. The finished floor is done, the finished cabinets are done, the appliances are in, the ceilings as of today are all white. So we're pretty much ready to go in the second floor of the fire station. Behind Town Hall, the landscaping's in, the patio's in. We have everything ready for the finish furniture, the benches and tables and so forth to go in. We're just waiting a little bit more until we're further along. It's not weather dependent, so there's no reason to put it in too early. The Town Hall, this picture is from last week. As of now, they have the stair in place, so all the steel work is in now. But you can see the finished lights are already in. The ceiling is all whited out now. The hearing room is looking really great, really nice space. So things are really shaping up in Town Hall. Just a real brief update. I didn't give you the whole budget update. It's in the handout, but this just to give you a sense of where we are with our contingencies. Between our construction contingency and our soft cost contingency, I'm at 3.8 million. And then our contractor, within their GMP budget, has about 2.7 million in their budget of contingencies too. So we're in really good shape in terms of the project. We still have change orders. I have one that I'm going to show you, and I'll show you in just a moment what I'm tracking on the horizon too. But in terms of our budget, we're doing really well. We're really happy with where things are shaping up. Our cash flow in the project, we're now on the down. We passed the peak, which was the summer, and things are really starting to fall into place. So we're tracking well to our cash flow. And, as I told you last meeting, the bar at the end is high because I keep pushing, the unused contingencies towards the end. So we're really happy with that. We have an additional service or a vendor proposal that we want to present to you. Building committee reviewed, they've approved. This is for Valley Communications, not the top line, but the next line. This is for the live broadcast functionality for additional spaces within the building. We have it in the hearing room for sure, but we wanted to also add it to the multipurpose on the first floor of the town hall, both wings, because that's a dividable space. And then upstairs, we have the classroom area for the community room. I wanted to say Council on Aging, but the community center is also a multi-purpose room that's dividable to make that have the capability for live broadcast.
Brian, can I make one correction?
Yes, please.
The hearing room and the public safety training room already have live broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
This would be just recording ability for
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
community classroom, the multi-purpose room, and the breakout room, which is the small conference room off
Which
the
would
hearing
operate
room.
like the library does right now.
Correct.
Thank you, Jackie. I misspoke.
No, I just wanna be
for
clear for the
broadcast
public.
is what I meant to say. Reading my own notes.
So that's
yes.
what this upgrade would be for recording?
So those 3 spaces would be outfitted similar to the way the library is outfitted, but a little bit newer technology, so that we could still record, and we could also have it set up so that eventually staff can hit record for boards and committees, so that smaller boards and committees can get recorded as well.
Like when we outfitted the library for this, do we have any idea what we spent at that time for that?
We do.
Do you know what that number?
In the ballpark of this, but the library has been done over a series of investments, so this is in the ballpark if we were to do the whole thing at once with brand new technology.
Yeah, this gets you 5 additional meeting spaces that have recording capability. Thank you for that clarification.
And broadcast, or just recording?
It's record and then broadcast, gets
This is only
broadcast,
for
but not
those
live.
3 rooms.
Live broadcast would happen in the
Divided
big meeting room
west and east.
and the.
Yes.
So you can't live broadcast from the breakout room to
From the breakout room, the community classroom, and the multipurpose room, we can't go live on cable, but we can record and have it go to cable.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the proposal that we have from Valley Communications, we had 2 options. The initial one we were looking at was about $124,000 to do that. With a change in the microphone technology, we were able to reduce the cost to $107,000. So I know it's hard to see, there's a lot of numbers, but essentially this is the option, and the total here of $107,314.47 is what we're recommending. And the building committee has reviewed this and recommended that this be approved.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may add one other detail?
Yep.
So we have already put in a transfer from PEG at town meeting, at a prior town meeting. We will likely be seeing an additional to be determined amount as a transfer from PEG at the upcoming May 26th town meeting to help offset this increase as well.
But I have one question. So when I'm reading through it, is it equipment, parts, and installation by them, or is there some breakout of installation by, yourself?
No, it's this is all done by Valley Communications, so it includes all of the work to program it, install it. Yep. So do you want to vote?
Yeah, so, so remind me, it's 100 and,
It's $107,314.47.
okay,
So I'll move to approve that.
okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, if any? unanimous.
Great, thank you. Just to give you, these are potential change orders that we're tracking right now. So we have, yellow is with our design team in review, blue, working between Chairman Renault and Town Administrator Saltzback to review and get the final approval. These in blue will probably be in the next change order that's coming to you in a month. And then some of the items lower, we've asked our contractor to go out and reprice. So generally speaking, we're about 300,000 of change orders that we're sort of tracking at this moment that will eventually either through our review get knocked down or deleted or will become
What are
change orders.
some of those items? Like, you don't have to run through every single one.
The biggest one that we have is the Mel generator pad, 118,000. And the reason being is the pad, we originally, when we presented this and we added this to the project, we didn't have an engineered design for the generator. So we went with an assumed pad of 6 inches thick with welded wire mesh, traditional sort of gravel underneath. What we received about 2 months ago was a 4 foot thick gravel base with a 2 foot thick pad with a significant amount of rebar. I mean, it is a massive amount of concrete.
And that's
why
being
it's so
borne by
expensive.
Meld, correct?
It is.
Mhm.
Part of
The
that
pad,
MOU.
they're paying for the pad?
Yep.
So it gets put in, so the municipal project is responsible for everything sort of from the ground down. We're putting in all the infrastructure, and then Meld will come in and drop their equipment. So we're because we have all the forces there, we're coordinating everything. It makes sense for the construction project to do all this work. So that's why it comes in as a change order, but then there's a memorandum.
There's just an intergovernmental transfer that'll happen from Meld over to us.
Actually, I think for invoices specific to them, we've been sending to Melt directly.
And they're writing the check.
Directly.
Is that the preference, right?
That would be the preference, is that they go directly to Mel.
Okay.
So this is, it's in progress right now. We just received engineering comments today, so we haven't finalized the change order.
So actually, let me ask that question. So when this project is all done, and somebody asks for a total cost of the project, is the Meld reimbursed items going to be included in that total cost?
Have we been carving them out to date?
I have everything itemized. Yep. I can tell you exactly what the costs are.
Okay.
Well, would it make more sense to give the total cost and then say,
Well, I'm
this
saying.
much for Meld, this
No, the
much-
reason why I'm asking that is because when you look at the total cost, you would say, oh, well, that's how much they bonded in finance, when in fact, there's a portion of it that was not bonded in finance that was paid for by Meld.
It's an important distinction.
Yeah.
I think to be clear too, when we talk about this, like the building committee just asked for this report recently, we have multiple revenue sources outside of the
No, I
debt.
get that. I get that.
And that's something where like, for like the roundup at the end, that's one of the pieces that we can show.
No, I mean, it's very clear to be able to say from the day the first shovel went in the ground to the day the keys were handed over, here's the total cost. And here's how some of it has been paid for. Some of it, we've gotten a small amount through some legislative earmarks. We've gotten some from the Blue Haven development agreement over there, dollars that we received from other sources, Meld and others. I'm more looking to be able to say this much was borne by the actual taxpayers.
Yeah, we brought it up at the building committee at the last meeting, so Jackie and the team will be working on something to get to us.
good.
You'll have probably a roll-up of that next month, I would imagine.
Great.
So when
Sarah's already
that
made
price
progress.
came in, final price for that pad, did the electrical light commissioners approve that? And
We needed to vet the number before, so my next step is now, because today I received the vetting, my next step is to pass it along to Meld and their engineering team. So that will, tomorrow, they will see it.
because somebody at Mel would have to approve the expense, right?
It's been.
But they already know.
Yeah, it comes from them, so it's been months of back and forth coordination with Meld providing the specs. So it's not as if we,
Said, hey,
on
this
the
is how
town
we wanna
side,
build
yeah,
it.
we're gonna build this and do it. It's actually Meld determining what the specs
But
are.
they didn't have a dollar.
The-
They didn't know the cost.
They didn't know the cost, so they had the specs but had no idea of the cost because you.
I wouldn't say no idea.
Oh, I'm
I'd
saying
say
no
they-
idea, but
They'd
they-
have a ballpark,
we
but
just-
ultimately.
we
has
gotta
to-
make sure
it
the
goes
electric light
before
commission is
The commissioners and they bless
approve
it.
the reimbursement and the expense before a shovel goes into the ground for this pad, right?
It's, well, that's That obligation is on them for that housekeeping.
That was the
We're
agreement.
covered by the MOU. Yeah.
It's an expensive pet.
So in terms of what you see there, that's the biggest one. Okay. So we have construction requisition for payment number 16 in the amount of $2,195,096. That is ready for your approval. Building committee reviewed and recommended that it be approved.
And that'll be at our next,
That was included in your facilities
That was-
warrant tonight.
Right, that was part of the FD.
Done.
16 should have been on there. Oh, I'm sorry, it might be on the next one.
yeah, because this one was 251,000.
I'm sorry.
That's
You'll-
why I meant.
You'll approve it when you approve
Yeah,
that. facilities
exactly.
warrant.
So
Sorry.
that'll be at our next
I
one.
think we just submitted it late last week. So.
Yeah.
We'll have it on for next week.
Yep. Checks in the mail, almost.
Except for
Yeah. No, this was just submitted, presented last week. All right, next up, change order 11. We have in the amount of $128,223. I'll go over the detail for you. I've highlighted in yellow anything that is a change order that increases the construction contract. So we'll go over those first. So we have design, build, irrigation, the top item. Whenever we were going through early in the project, we wanted to make sure that we added irrigation to the project. It wasn't in the original scope, but it made sense to do it. We have the well that exists for the golf course that we're going to use to take care of the town green. And then there's some two other systems that come off of each building, one for town hall, one for public safety. But at the time that we presented this PCO to the building committee and to you, we didn't have an irrigation contractor on board or design. It was a real basic scope. But once we got it fully designed, then we knew what our electrical and our plumbing requirements were. Then we could go and get pricing for it. So we did this as a design build to save on cost. Because we looked at potentially hiring our design team to do it, and it just seemed silly to spend the money to have it engineered. We just went to the irrigation contractor on the design build. So we kind of had to get that price locked in, and then once they did their work, then we could get the other. So now this is the true up on the plumbing and electrical costs for that. So it ended up being a little bit more than what we had anticipated. So that's the change order for that. And then the next item down here, we added a camera to the detective area at the public safety building. We agreed that the finished paving of the entrance drive and the parking lot behind Town Hall would be delayed into the spring. And part of that is we're not delivering the building for occupancy until like January, early February, but then you have like 2 months of setting up the technology, migrating everything over, moving, getting it furnished. So by the time you've done that, there's a lot of traffic over the road. We would have had to have paved like this week. And then all those construction vehicles would be going over that new paving. So we felt it made more sense to delay this and wait till all that activity was done.
Yeah, makes
and
sense.
come back in the spring to do it. So the building committee agreed, and so this is basically the remobilization and delay the work into the spring, $72,000. And then this tile patterns. There was some additional cost. There was one wet wall that didn't show tile. They added that, and then there was some. During the finish meetings, we changed how the tile pattern was done. So it was a little more complex, but it looks a lot better. And so that it was an added cost. So that's just this $8,700. We had some modifications to casework, faucet and sinks, so it added a little cost. We had a reduction in costs on the elevator power because the original design had assumed a certain amount, but once we got through the shop drawings, we were able to reduce the breaker size. And then another credit for, we had a duplication of some scope for the projector in the hearing room. And then clean agent system, there was a space issue in the room that was called for, so we had to relocate it. So there was some additional piping to relocate that. And then the flagpole, the building committee ended up reducing the number of flagpoles at 2 locations from 3 to 2 to make it simpler for American flag, state flag. Then you didn't have to worry about what that third pole would be. And so it made sense. So it was about a $10,000 credit back. And then we had the training wall parapet at the back of the public safety. There was some modifications to it, and then we ended up adding some more steel for supports for that, and just made it a little bit more robust. So there was a revision to that, $13,000. So those are all the change orders, and then green are within GMP contingency allowance draws. Most of these I could categorize as scope gaps. So what happens is when we buy out original or GMP, our construction manager is assigning scopes of work to different trades and companies they're buying out. Some of these were missed between different companies, so that's their risk. It's within their contract, so that's what their contingency covers. So that's some of these here, but this particular one at the top was a grease interceptor at the public safety building. That was for the day room kitchen. We ended up, it was supposed to be underslung from the structure, but because the maintenance of it, the room below, it would have been too challenging to maintain that grease trap. So we ended up constructing a room on the first floor to put it in. But then further along, working with town administrator, we ended up deleting the grease trap altogether. So we ended up with a storage room on the first floor. So essentially, this $18,000 is we created a new room, lights, door, and the full room that is now a storage room in the public safety building. So can never have enough storage rooms. So it's definitely, you got value for your money on this particular one, but that was considered a coordination item. The caulking scope, and that's a requirement of the building department had us fire caulk we had a drywall barrier between the second floor and the attic. Although it's not required by code, once you put it in, it kind of made sense to fire caulk that. It wasn't called for in the drawings because it wasn't a code requirement, but since it was there, it did make sense to do that. So it just improves the fire capability of the building. And then dropping down the attic hatch material, it was just how the attic hatches were going to be constructed. There was an assumption of what they were going to do. Once they got around to submitting on it, there were some changes made. So that was an add. But within contingency, additional tile in the public safety building. This is in the booking area. We, instead of using like casework cabinets, we upgraded to a stainless steel cabinets to make it a much more durable area that's going to last a lot longer. So we changed who we got them from and the material to make sure that they would be more robust. So that seemed like a worthwhile upgrade. And then this is just a scope gap. The floors that don't have a finish on them, the construction manager didn't include in their GMP somebody to seal the concrete. So again, that's their risk that they covered. Some missed sprinkler coverage in the loft area above the apparatus bay, small areas where the air compressor room is. So that was covered by them. And then we had an area that at the off the day room to the training deck, there was some finishes that were overlooked in the buyout. So another scope gap. And then the blue is hardware allowance. There was a door that we ended up adding a card reader to. So that's that's all within change order 11. As I said,
$28,223.
Yes, please.
One of the $72,000 to put the finish coat paving, extra expense because they're waiting. Is that a paving subcontractor that does that?
A subcontractor to the
So
site
it's not
contractor.
like somebody that's already set up on site and has to leave and come back because so I don't understand the $72,000.
You have casting adjustments, you have striping that you need to do temporarily, a bunch of those types of things. So that's a big part of the cost.
Cost
Ramping up
escalation.
areas that aren't going to get paved. So
would the cost of that, when we do paving, both roadways and our own parking lots, we access a
consortium
rate through our consortium.
Yeah.
Does this rate look similar to the consortium?
It's the same. Actually, we looked at it and I asked the same question. So
Yep. So we ran the price both ways, through the consortium and through here. And it made sense to keep the scope within construction contracts for warranty purposes. And the remobilization is that we are going to go ahead and do the apparatus apron and the secure parking area behind public safety this year,
Do that final.
and then stop.
Stop.
And the reason being is that when we occupy that building, we don't want to interrupt the operations of that building to
So
repave.
is the rest of the driveways and parking areas going to be binder?
Yes.
And some of these are gonna have raised catch basins?
No, they're gonna be, that's part of the cost.
It's
to
gonna
lower
be raising the
casting.
catch
Yes,
basins
we have to raise the
after. Okay.
castings twice.
Because I was thinking more about snow removal this winter.
Right, so part of it is dropping the castings. That's part
Is
of it.
everything gonna be striped over the binder or just certain areas?
It'll be the parking areas.
Correct.
Yeah, the
Yep.
parking areas, so people know where to park.
They use
Get the
paint,
efficiency.
so it's it's not the permanent, but, yeah. And then for code, we have to stripe and show the handicap parkings, plus we have to shim at the handicap ramps, to make the transition down to the binder. So that's, all goes into that factor.
Okay.
Good question.
Back on the fire caulking, if it's not necessary for code, why was that required there? Is it the kitchen or?
Well, that's on both buildings, both levels.
Do we need it in the
to
other
the attic?
building?
So the attic is framed with wood trusses. It's a fully sprinkled building, so there isn't a requirement for that. The architect put it in. It's more for dust and any debris coming down onto the acoustic ceiling tile below, so that over time, when the building's operating, as people are moving the tiles, you're not getting all that debris down. So it's a way to keep the building cleaner. So yes, it's not a code requirement, but that's the up to the building inspector. He has the final say. Code is the minimum. The inspector has the prerogative to ask for more.
But we didn't need that in the town hall building.
It was both buildings.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
both buildings.
Thank you. for
Yep, yep. And I don't disagree. It gives a better, so we had draft stopping, but we upgraded it to fire caulking. I totally understand why. It makes sense. I mean, it just makes for a better building.
Yeah, I didn't know whether it sounded like it was just for that public safety building.
No, it's
So I
both
was just-
buildings. Yep, yep.
So we need a motion on change order 11 in the amount of $128,223 as described by Brian.
Move to approve.
There's a motion.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second? There is a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, if any? That is unanimous.
Chairman Renaud, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, let me take if I can peel this over. So we're coming to you today. Well,
You've solved our grading issue.
Well, we think we have, yes. So we've come up with a game plan here. So just to give you background, so back when I was in the chairing the planning committee, I want to say 75% of the comments that I heard was about usability of the town green. So flattening this out to the maximum that we can, that's what we're trying to do. So identified it as an issue, raising it up in a few locations to get us essentially more of a flat area by what will be the
So
gazebo.
that stuck out to me the day that I toured the
Yes,
facility.
it did,
And
yeah.
the septic was being put in, and knowing how much higher that would be, and seeing,
Yes.
that stuck out to me. And I think
Yes.
this is going to be a decision that folks may not pay attention to, but for
Will
years and years to
appreciate.
come, will appreciate.
Yeah.
It wasn't a mistake in the initial planning, and then you looked and it
I would
came
say it's a
from,
kind
say
of
it again, who generated the interest to want to have it?
myself. So it's coming from here. Yeah. So I figure I see this more as a coordination issue. So we had to make some changes to the septic system. That was probably a year ago maybe or so. And in that change, I personally didn't notice it until I actually went in, and I'm saying to myself, oh shoot, we are steeping up that grade significantly.
Yeah, I was
So-
curious to how it, from
That's basically,
from paper to,
The other thing is,
Yep.
in terms of the design, I was pushing, it's a big site. So
Yeah.
before we went out to bid and get our budget,
Yeah.
I was really advocating for a balanced site to try and minimize the amount of import and export. And so the natural low point of this site is right here.
Yeah.
So we weren't manipulating the grades, we left it. But, ultimately, my pushing the design team was to
Yeah,
minimize the amount of impact to the site and balance the site,
So the abutter's property is higher.
the abutters property.
So,
Oh yeah, yes. It is.
so we're not raising our grade higher than the abutters.
No, so essentially this whole section would have that same grade. So if you
Right.
think about where the parking lot
Yep,
was,
I'm-
it didn't make a lot of sense. So this flattens out.
So for me,
essentially where the
there's a
septic-
double benefit here. The
Yeah.
benefit is
Yeah.
bringing that to grade.
Yep.
The other benefit is down at the transfer station, we've been sitting on a lot of fill for a lot of period of time that I don't know if we would ever gonna use.
Yes.
And by bylaw, we cannot take that outside of the confines of the town of Middleton.
Without
Without a
approval
special
by-
permit.
Without a
approval by the
special
ZBA.
permit, which could be done, but it's kind of hard for the ZBA to say to other developers, no, we're going to do it for ourselves.
I don't know that we've said no in the past, but yes, to say, yeah. We needed to get rid of some fill. This is a great location. It makes a ton of sense for us as a whole. Getting fill for free is always good. You know, we'll truck it in to save some costs. You know, ultimately, it is a big ask. It's close to $300,000, which we haven't really been doing as, you know, kind of straight change orders. So that's why I wanted to come here, just to say, I'm definitely recommending this. The building committee talked about it. We're all in agreement on it. So just, if there's concerns before.
I'm
we
not
move
disagreeing at
forward.
all on this. I will tell you, this would be the area, the first time folks went in onto the green, they'd be like, why was this done this way?
Yep. Yeah, it definitely would be. So, yeah, we try to minimize the cost to the maximum extent we can. We've looked at some areas where we'll kind of grade down into a low spot. So we have a basin. One of the stormwater management systems is located right there too, so we'll be grading that out a little bit, but definitely capturing a lot more of the.
This didn't have
usable.
any effect on sprinkler or utilities that are through there?
Just
utilities.
no just the bases, right, for the
Yeah, light
for the
pole
light-
bases, but
yeah,
none
light
of
pole
the
bases, yeah.
electrical service, water services, or any of that come through here at all.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no underground utilities.
Yeah, so it was a good opportunity. And then besides that, we also looked at a walkway to go to the center of the, what do you want to do?
Yeah, this is it?
Yeah,
Yep.
this is it, yeah.
This
So-
is what you're seeing on the screen.
Yeah, so looking at the design, we actually didn't have a walkway to go to the front door of the town hall, which didn't make a ton of sense, obviously. We had identified this as we were going through design and trying to find a location to get from that back parking lot behind town hall to get folks to the town green. And looking at locations, we had a couple of different ones, but they didn't make a ton of sense.
Will that walkway have electricity for lighting?
Yes, yep, we already have, we have light poles that would be added to that as part of the design. And then we'd also, you know, obviously have an 88 walkway going from the town green now to the front door, which I think makes a lot of sense.
So that fill at the transfer station, I'm not familiar exactly where it is now, but.
That big-ass pile next to the
When you left, before you
fence.
go through the
My question
fence.
is, do we have any concerns where we had that PFAS issue up there, that any of the soil could have any contamination? Or?
No, it's just stockpiled, and I actually had the same conversation with Paul today, because I was like, where is this pile? And he said, it's a giant pile. Sometimes they're so big, it just kind of blends in.
Well,
But
it now looks like a tree and
jungle.
weed.
yeah, it's a
mountain.
green mound now, so they have to. they have
It
to
came
plug
from
it
Hal
out.
Manning.
Right, but
But
it's been sitting in
But
there's
an
no
area that we've had
contamination.
PFAS
It's
issues.
It
sitting-
was tested at the time, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
right, but it's
No, I
sitting
get
on
it.
that ground.
It's sitting high. It's not
Okay.
like something's draining down into it or
No,
anything.
no, you mean like on the capped with the wind things and
No,
everything?
not
It's
there.
not on that.
No, I know it's not there,
Oh,
but things
okay.
leach and
Yeah.
it's on that campus and.
Right.
And
Yeah, that-
is there enough fill there to fulfill the need over there?
Not
I don't know
totally.
the pile. You know, they could-
Not totally, not totally.
So,
How much?
So that pile will be gone at the transfer station?
Yes.
Thank you.
That would be gone, and then there would be costs to bring in a certain amount.
544 cubic yards is what they're calling for.
Yeah,
So-
and we definitely don't have that
Will
amount.
that
I'd
area,
probably say we're,
will that area at the transfer station be graded for, because there's a need for parking down
Parking.
there. I'm not asking for it to be paved, but
Yeah,
for
it'll be
gravel
left.
parking.
Part of that pile is on paved area.
Right.
oh, is it really? Oh, that's
It is.
interesting. Oh, there you go.
It'll be left leveled,
We
and then
just
down the
haven't
road,
seen
if we
the
want to
pavement in a
formalize it, we
long
can
time.
do
But we could
capital.
utilize it as a gravel parking area. I'm thinking Chief Will's.
Yeah.
It's overflow.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's soccer. I mean,
No,
Well, yeah.
it needs it now.
yeah, we need it now. So that makes a
Okay.
ton of sense. So that's kind of
So,
where we are.
do you need a,
Well, let me ask you, is there, for creating the green space, do we know how much that has cost?
For creating the green space as a whole, that's a tough one. Jackie and I were talking about this back in the day as we were looking for different grants and whatnot too, because keep in mind, a lot of this came from grants for the town green. So
Right.
most of that was being paid for through either earmarks or grants.
Well, specifically for the CPA funds that have been, so, you know, if the costs have exceeded what the CPA has provided, there might be an opportunity for another appropriation. If it's under, you need to spend up, you need either spend it or return it.
So I think that's a call will be process, but we are far too soon. We have not, we have to be careful about what we're pulling and spending for that money. So that's a February conversation, unfortunately, but thank you for the generous tip.
And this is mostly work that would be carried out after the winter, so the timing could potentially work out on that.
Right.
Will this be done before February?
No, because they're gonna keep their offices and whatnot there. So that's kind of the area that we're part
That,
of it.
you know,
Yeah, and where the
pile
trails are
is.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I walked over the other day and looked at the fieldstone wall after the screening came down.
Sure.
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
So this is part of it too. So we're extending the wall. That's all part of this cost. So we'd be putting a retaining wall in for part of the detention basin rather than grading it into a hole like we had to pick up some more extra volume and shrink the size that we need. So this all, it'll kind of tie up the whole site.
Have those rocks come from?
All of these.
Yeah, all of them have. Yeah,
Yeah, all of
But we
them.
don't have a rock problem.
No, we have plenty of rocks.
Yeah.
Good old Bowie Middle.
At your rock farm.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're thinking. Just wanted to make sure you folks were all on board before we made a recommendation.
No, thanks for the presentation on that, because I was having a hard, just kind of hyper-focusing on the structures and what's been already done. I wasn't taking into account as looking at it, what's on the left, but that makes total sense. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay,
all
so
I have.
you'll be
Thank you.
back before us at some point for a change order on that.
We will. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're working through those numbers now.
Okay. Well, thank you for being, thinking outside the box on that. Thank you for figuring out how to get us to a point with a 5-day delay and not a 30-some-odd day delay. I think you have been, both of you have been very methodical in changes and making decisions in the right way.
Justin, too.
Well, and I know Justin's been a big part of that, but Brian, I was joking earlier about the no punch list and all of that, but I can't say enough how lucky the town is that not only do we have your company, but more so we have you.
Appreciate it. Thank you
I
very
agree
much.
100%.
The building committee agrees 100% as well.
Yeah, we're kind of happy we have you too,
We're
Bill.
pretty happy. Yeah.
Oh, no, we're ecstatic.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to highlight that more, and to have, it's one thing to have an owner's manager, and we pay for that and everything, but to know that you have somebody in the family, so to speak, with our town building committee, to have such knowledgeable people on it, ride and herd, thank you very much for that.
It's amazing how smoothly this whole project is going.
Where's some wood?
Why'd you say that?
Wow. Bunch of Italians over
Okay,
here.
so you have no further votes you need of us this evening,
All
but
good. Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Good seeing you
Appreciate
all.
it.
Thank you, guys. Good job.
Okay, next on the agenda is a follow-up to open meeting law complaint 10-1525 SB that was sent to by Mr. John Q. Public. Or maybe Mrs. John Q. Public.
Maybe. So just really quickly as an overview, we received this complaint, we reviewed it with legal counsel, we found it to be without merit pretty quickly. So the crux of the complaint is that the complainant feels that it was a predetermined conclusion because it was a side letter that town administration or town administrator, me specifically, in conjunction with the police chief, had agreed to over the summer, and then brought it back to the select board for this executive session for your approval. The issue, though, in their logic is that it's not quite a foregone conclusion. The reason we're bringing it by the select board is to get your blessing, but also because we needed an indication from the select board as we enter into collective bargaining a couple weeks ago. We needed the signal from this board whether or not it's something you would entertain having permanently baked into the collective bargaining agreement. And so that is covered by Attorney Castro in the supplemental that you received this morning, actually. So that will be our response. And obviously, if the Commonwealth's not satisfied, they'll let us know, and I'll pass that on to you.
Right.
Okay.
For the public, do you want to explain what it was, as far as?
Oh, the side letter was relative to residency, so it was what was recently on the agenda.
Yeah. So it was to extend the distance police officers could live from the police station.
Yep, so.
So the public know.
Yep, sure. So there's, it's a public document at this point, but it was a side letter relative to residency. So obviously cost of living is something that we've been talking about as a community for some time now. Came up as a theme throughout the public safety override that, part of the issues we have in terms of response time is that people can't afford to live in Middleton anymore. So what that means is our employees across the board, including our public safety professionals, are looking to find residency a little bit further from town. So for an active officer, at this point in time, a request was made to extend the radius, and we accommodated them.
And there's a perfect example about the conversation we were having earlier today with the chief about recruiting new officers. And if you think the cost of living around here isn't an effect on recruiting employees, and the ability to actually now have to commute, I'm sure nobody wants to commute as long as they do, but it's the reality of today. Went to Boston this morning, left at 7:30, an hour and 45 minutes later, I arrived.
It's a good day, though.
Yeah. Okay, next on the agenda is the structure and some discussion and review of the Veteran Service Officer position.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we've been reviewing the VSO position. Obviously, there was recently a vacancy with the departure of Nathaniel Stedman, who did an exceptional job. Kevin Welch, who was the immediately adjacent prior VSO, who had left to go to a full-time role in Stoneham, has been covering for us in the meantime. One thing that we're trying to take a hard look at, and it didn't quite make sense when Kevin left, but now with a little more distance with the gap of Nathan, we're looking at the reality of the fact that once Middleton's population eclipses 10,000, we're obligated to push that to a full-time role. It's our hope that effectively at 19 hours at $37,000 a year, it's not terribly attractive or convenient for anybody qualified looking to do the work. And so given the inevitability, more or less, of hitting that 10,000, we're looking to step into those hours, ease it into our budget. Not a full-time at this point in time, but something probably closer to 24 or 25, with the belief that that's going to help us secure the right.
I also think the unspoken here, not just about the position, but we talk about our town's population based on the census. So when the census was done, we were in the height of COVID. Part of our census is the jail. In the time that the census occurred, the jail was at its lowest occupancy probably in its history. This is during the time that, during the height of COVID, that prisoners were being released. For whatever reason, it was a decision what the Commonwealth of Massachusetts made. So I remember when we looked at the population on our census of the jail, it seemed awful low. Censuses happen every 10 years. If I was a betting man, the next census is not going to happen within that 10-year period. It's going to happen beforehand. I fully expect this administration in Washington is probably going to move, and allies in the Congress will probably move for an earlier census than happening during that 10-year period. For me, that means we're probably going to be over 10,000 sooner than we would expect, i.e. not happening in the next census period. I think getting this position moved into really like a 20, 24, 25 hour a week structure makes sense, because it's kind of setting the stage of what's going to happen when that population number changes. And, sometimes we say, well, here's our population with the jail, here's our population without the jail. For this position, it doesn't matter. So what you're proposing this evening is for this position to be moved to 24 hours.
Correct.
And if we were to look at regionalization, once you get to 10, you need, full-time, but if we regionalize, I mean, is there a next bump in population and
Oh,
requirement?
good question. So, when you enter a regional agreement, there are different strategies that the state requires you to employ as you do the IMA in terms of, like if you add, my prior community was in an 8-community regional VSO, and so they had to have both a full-time VSO and an admin to have the requisite amount of hours provided to every community. I can tell you, we rarely saw the VSO and we rarely saw the admin. We did not get good service. So there's a caveat where you're paying a lot less, but your service providing is very much low, because you're sharing. And I will offer, for us, a core function of this position is being present for the Memorial Day preparations and Veterans Day preparations and then the day of. And when you go to a shared model, that workflow has to slide somewhere. So I think before we were to think about regionalizing, there's a lot of factors that are at play. Certainly there are regional groups on the North Shore that we can look into. I will say the trend right now is most communities are de-regionalizing because they felt like the service that their veterans were getting.
Yeah, I think an 8-community region
But
would
even
be.
2 and 3s are breaking up right now.
So, just for understanding, once we reach a population of 10,001, this doesn't mean that this position is a 40-hour-a-week position. It needs to be more than part-time, which for purposes of,
20 plus hours.
I was going to say it has to be more than 19 hours. So I think this sets the stage for the inevitable that's coming, still gives us time to look at, is regionalization where we want to be? And it may be yes, it may be no, or it may be just we keep doing what we're doing, and when we reach 10,000 population, we're already set at 24 hours. Secondly, I think we've clearly seen with both the last 2 VSOs, like, this isn't too many hours and a lack of work. It's
Too few hours for the work.
Yes.
is what I think is
For the
happening.
workload.
And I think for right now, I appreciate that the board sees that immediate concern. I took your guidance about looking at regional options, and I've already started having some conversations, so I hope to present that to you in the FinCom jointly when we get into the budget process, because I think that may be a better forum for those discussions, as many of our position-related ones are. For now, this is very immediate in terms of marketing the position so that we're continuing to serve
And does
those
it
folks.
become benefit eligible?
So it's going to remain a stipend-based position, and we're working with the language on council for that factor.
So, does this position fall into the,
Compensation and classification schedule? It does. It's
does the movement from part-time to 24 hours have an effect on where it sits in the compensation schedule?
Not in the sense of how it is graded, because that is based on components of the job and the job functions. What it does do is look at the number of hours goes up, and then we've, as part of this proposal tonight, looked at increasing the hiring rate, because that position was at the very bottom of that grade in terms of hourly rate, in terms of the percentiles. So this would be giving us the hiring range ability to bring in someone not at the bottom rung. And something that's very new in Massachusetts specific Veterans Affairs is that veterans officers have always had to be veterans and are strongly encouraged to go to the state conference. They now also have to get a specific certification and class time, or they cannot file VA claims. So we want to be having a pay rate that will encourage people who have already received that certification to come to Middleton, so that our residents, when they have to file VA claims, have the certified person who can do it for them directly.
Okay, that all makes sense. So are you going to have a recommendation at some point in the future around, like, a reclassification?
I think this is mostly just to provide the budgetary allowance so that I can increase the hours and the hourly rate in the job posting. I think revisiting classification is something we would do as part of a larger revisitation of classification.
Okay, that all makes sense. So,
I'll move to approve the proposed changes to the VSO position.
okay, there's a motion. Is there
I'll
a second?
second.
There is a second. Any further discussion?
What will this have any impact on recruitment, or are we having trouble recruiting?
I actually think
because of
it'll have a
this?
positive impact on recruitment.
Yeah.
That's the intent.
We brought quite a few VSOs in front of you the past couple of years. We want to find someone who
So
will
maybe
stick
some of them would actually probably would have stayed or come back?
Could be.
I think there's a possibility.
I think it's more marketable either way. The increase in hours, I think, will make it a more marketable position, and I think having someone who has that certification will be a very strong direct financial benefit to our veterans.
Will that person have an office in the new building?
Yes, absolutely.
That, they don't now, right?
They do.
Well, I wouldn't call it an office.
They have a
It's a closet.
non-accessible computer space in Memorial Hall, and they typically see residents at other locations, including the COA.
So that might make the job more appealing too, knowing that they'll
Yes.
have a dedicated
Very much
office.
so.
Heated and cooled and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all the bells
HVAC
and
basics are alone a gift.
We don't have to move the broom out of the room. We're gonna have a meeting, so.
It's a location befitting the people it supports.
Good.
Okay, update on surplus town property. Yeah, we
The
did.
vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we've had a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, if any? Okay, that passes 5-0. Surplus town property update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given the late hour, I'm going to try to breeze through this, but obviously if you have questions, feel welcome. So the police station, we had a walkthrough Wednesday last week on the 15th. It was pretty decently attended. And from what we're hearing, we're getting in the press and everything else. So there's, more eyes on it, the better. So we'll keep you posted on that.
No formal responses?
No questions were filed at the deadline on Friday.
Okay.
So
Did we receive questions?
none were received.
Okay.
Yeah. For the fire station, I communicated the change in direction that we had discussed when we last spoke to the engineer, and we have a meeting set up for the end of the month. Memorial Hall, I received a day late after the last select board meeting from Chuck Johnson. So what I'm going to end up doing, and he goes through several phases here that ends up in the six-figure territory. I think what I'd like to do is use the scope for phase 1 and phase 2, which should realistically would be about, well, based on his pricing, about $27,500, but that will get us a perk test that can confirm the yield and room count. I think that's all we really need.
For 27,000?
27.5. So I'm going to use that scope and shop it around, just given the cost proposed there. Locust Street, we're still holding, and then Old Town Hall, I had a very productive meeting with Ann Cody today, just to make sure we're kind of all on the same page in terms of the future of that property. So we have a future conversation set up in a couple weeks, and then I think we'll probably revisit it with the board at some point, just trying to find some good direction there. But for now, we're pretty occupied with the police station and getting that moving. And
Right.
once that drops off. we'll
When's the
take it.
deadline for submissions?
The second Wednesday in November, which I believe is the 12th.
Okay. And were there many that attended the walkthrough?
Yes, there was 4 or maybe 5 different groups.
Okay, good.
Including the gentleman to your left. So,
Okay. Awesome. Okay, any further questions on that? Okay. FY '25 Q4 and FY '26 Q1 finance update.
sorry for being an hour behind. I estimate some meetings better than others.
It's kind of hard to pinpoint. Same.
It's
Bunch
a
of-
guessing game we enjoy, though.
Bunch of wild cards at this table, you never know.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm going to be discussing our FY25 Q4, which ends June 30th, 2025, and our FY26 Q1, which ends September 30th, 2025, fiscal reports. I believe these were included in the packet.
Sure.
Tonight, I'm just going to give a high-level overview. I know there's a lot of information in the packet, so I will not go page by page. With FY25, starting with our general fund expenditures, we expended 96.7% of the FY25 general fund budget. That is before encumbrances were taken into account. That's our just bottom line number, which is right within our range of 95 to 100% of expenses. Most departments closed the year on target with only one reserve fund transfer needed all fiscal year. which is always great to see that we're budgeting for things that we are expecting, and there's not too many unexpected things that come up throughout the year. Some major category highlights. Again, these are pre-encumbrance numbers. If you want the post-encumbrance numbers, those are on pages 18 to 19 of the FY25 document. Education ended at 97% expended, public safety at 96%, and public works at 91%. At year end, we had approximately 1.76 million remaining in approved general fund capital projects, with 2 projects accounting for more than half of that balance, which is the purchase of the ambulance and the Natsu Way remaining phase 1 and phase 2 projects.
Could I ask a question on dollars remaining? Do we have any line of sight specifically on education of dollars remaining in revolving funds over there, such as school lunch, et cetera?
If you scroll down to, for FY25, it is on page 13. I'm not sure what page in your packet it is.
Yeah,
It's the first 5, the revolving, How Manning Childcare, preschool revolving, and school cafeteria are their revolving funds.
and are these the funds that were used to close the gap?
Yes,
Okay. Do we have better line of sight to them now?
yes, they drew down quite a bit during FY25, and they will draw down more in FY26.
Okay.
Those don't happen until the end of the fiscal year, so for FY26, it's just under the assumption that they will be drawn down further. But with how tight their budget is, I can't imagine that they won't need to fully draw down what they anticipated for the year during the budget process. For general fund revenues, our total actual revenues were $51.2 million versus our $46.4 million budget, which was a surplus of approximately $4.7 million. This is the 4th consecutive year with over $1 million in surplus revenues. I expect that will trend downwards as fiscal years progress, as the municipal bonds are spent during FY26 and will be fully expended in FY27. Also, another driver is our motor vehicle, our meals, and our rooms tax all exceeded budgetary expectations, with a minor shortfall in cemetery revenues of approximately $5,000, which we'll need to do a small adjustment when we set the tax rate, just because you can't have it be more than what you received in the previous fiscal year. Just a quick overview of our other funds. Our CPA fund had an ending undesignated fund balance of $323,000. Our water enterprise fund ended at just over $1 million, with $324,000 reserved for the water main looping projects. Our sewer enterprise fund ended at, I'm sorry, I don't have that number. Sorry, bear with me one second. It ended at 47,000, and I'm sorry, 42,000, with a higher than usual receivable balance. So we're hoping to send out our finance charges for amounts that were outstanding still at fiscal year end. We're just trying to work with QuickBooks and our new online software provider for bill pay to try to figure out the best way to get those bills onto the system, so that people can pay those online and expedite those payments as well. Free cash for FY25 was certified at $9.3 million, which is up from $6.7 million last fiscal year. This represents approximately 20% of our operating appropriations. Our target is approximately 3%. Again, major contributions tie into our revenues with the one-time investment income from municipal bonds and ARPA funds. Of that $9.3 million, approximately $2.1 million I have earmarked for our arbitrage liability that gets calculated every year. I believe that payment will need to be paid in FY27, so that will be part of our budgetary part this year, a warrant article to appropriate those funds. And then the remainder should be put into reserves for future purchases. I would actually like us to take a further look at our OPEB and see if we can contribute more than the typical 100,000 that we do to really kind of bring down our OPEB liability.
I'm with you.
So I think that would be a great place, since we have the funds, to
You're
try
sitting
to.
with, what, almost 3.15
Yeah.
million in there? Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
We are at a pretty decent funding source. I think it's over, or funding ratio, I think it's 11 to 15%, somewhere in there. But I think we could definitely increase that amount and do a little bit better with that. So some key takeaways, our FY25 fiscal year closed strong. There was great spending control between our departments, and we had revenue performance exceeding for some line items. Some of them were directly in line with what we expected, which is always great that we're budgeting as we plan to. Our enterprise funds remain stable and self-sustaining, and our free cash and trust balances are increasing due to excellent investment income that we've received. And I will say Nick does a great job working with our banks and looking at our interest rates that we have and moving money around where we can get the most interest for our funds that we have within the bank. Any questions on FY25?
Can I ask a question on a couple of the funds?
Sure.
What is the Title V fund that says $50,000?
Title V, that is money that we received. We did a borrowing in the 1980s, and there were some, what's the word I'm looking for?
Liens?
Grants or
Betterments?
liens? Betterments.
Yes, betterments given for septic projects. This is a remaining balance in there. It's used to pay down the debt service at this point. I think there is a little bit of money left for future projects, but I'm not sure if any of that is available. I'd have to do a very deep dive into money that came in versus
I'd
out.
almost wonder if we couldn't just omit that. You know what I'm saying? The last one that I know of was probably back in the mid-'80s.
Yeah, we
And
still.
there weren't that
it's a
many.
30-plus year borrowing on it, so we do still pay. The expenses on that are debt service related, because we still.
It wasn't much, right?
Okay, no, it's about, I think, $1,000 a year.
So it's
Or- or
50,000 just
yeah.
sitting there.
What's the net debt that's due?
On the septic.
Wanted to pay it off
Right,
today,
if
the whole
we
thing.
wanted, if we can pay it
I
off.
don't have that information directly in front of me, but I can look into that.
Yeah, it might be worthwhile just doing that and taking the rest.
Wipe it out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'd also have to
because
look at
we don't use it
The
any
laws and
longer.
regulations about it.
What is,
That was actually taken out for one taxpayer, but they made it available for, in case someone else
Yeah.
wanted it. It was one taxpayer.
what is remaining in the fund for, that came over from Blue Haven?
0,
It's been fully expended? Okay.
fully expended at the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
So what was it used? I know it was for the new
Project.
project. Was it furniture and the council on, what was it used for?
For Council on Aging.
Furniture or?
It's the design and construction of it,
Okay.
which is within what the agreement was for.
Yeah.
Okay.
It gets to be, with the municipal complex, it's kind of a balancing act of trying to pay down the debt as much as possible so we don't pay the arbitrage, but also using the funds that people have given us that we've been having for years and years that should be paid down as well, and also working with some of the state grants. Those have deadlines as well. So it's kind of a balancing act of trying to figure out what buckets to pull from when we pay the invoices. But Jackie and I sit down usually, a couple times a year and go through, see what we have and what we can spend. But that money was one that was spent down.
And what do we have in the sidewalk fund? I might have missed that.
I
I'm
just
sure.
actually saw that.
That
Page
is,
is that on?
as of June 30th, $163,000.
But Paul was
In general government,
using it.
and I know it's not a huge budget, but how did it end up at 88%? What on the major categories in the first page of your fourth quarter
So,
highlights?
Part of it is skewed with Finance Committee, the percentage-wise, because most of their budget is the reserve fund that we
Got
didn't
it.
spend.
So the
So
reserve
that
fund
skews
sits-
the percentage
Got it.
on
Okay,
that
so
one.
that doesn't get in a separate line item.
No,
Okay,
it
that makes
doesn't.
sense.
But that's kind of the biggest one that brings it down from, there also was elections was at 75%. And planning board was at 67% because we did have staff transition
Yep.
at the beginning of the fiscal year. So there are some savings within those smaller
Okay.
departments that kind of skew that
And
percentage.
I know it's not a big overall department in terms of, so an 88% is not like 88% on debt service or 88%
Right.
on education. Okay.
Yep.
Overall feeling at the end of the fiscal year on revenue compared to revenue targets we made for the next fiscal year. So I know our revenue, a lot of that is interest revenue, but some of the other revenue, more specifically meals, lodging, and auto. How do you feel going into the next fiscal year? I know I'm probably stealing a little bit
Well,
of your
if I
thunder
go
in
into my
FY '26.
FY26.
But, I mean,
Honestly, I think we could probably move up. I think it was either meals or rooms based on how they were, our first quarter payment came in for FY '26. And by move up, I mean, maybe 20,000, 25,000. But I think everything is pretty much in line because it's going to really depend on what we have for commitments, motor vehicle wise. Commitments actually were down quite a bit. The last one of the year, which comes in July, was lower than the previous fiscal year. Because that's one that you never know. It's people coming into town, people leaving town.
That's pretty consistent.
It usually is, yeah. Brad gives me his spreadsheet. We go over the numbers. We try to figure it out during the budget process. But I know in FY '26 we did increase it quite significantly in the budget process. So I think we should be okay to make that mark. We did in FY '25 meet our new budget number. So I don't think there'll be any issue in FY '26.
Now, the meals tax number will, I think, the more that the restaurants use delivery services like DoorDash and Uber Eats, etc., the prices charged through those apps are 20 to 30% higher than walking in to offset the charges by that delivery service.
Yep.
But it's in the price, and therefore you pay meals tax on it. So restaurants may be doing the same amount of business, but generating a lot more meals tax.
Correct.
never thought of it that way, but that makes sense.
Yeah. I will say meals tax is one that we, even during the COVID years, did not see much change from year over year in a downward trend. If anything, they increased significantly year over year. Any other FY '25 questions before I jump into FY '26?
Nope.
So FY '26, starting again with our general fund expenditures, at the end of the first quarter, we were at 23.9% of our general fund expenses, which is nearly on target. Quarter over quarter should be about 25%. Exceptions that were exceeding this are retirement assessment, liability insurance, and recreation commission, which are all expected during this time of year because of our early year costs that we have within those departments. All other departments remain within range, averaging about 18% spent. That's not really uncommon, as one of the first payrolls in the fiscal year is split between 2 fiscal years, so it does kind of skew that 25% for most of our departments. Encumbrances from FY '25 have been 97.7% closed out, with only a few school invoices delayed due to supply back orders. Hopefully they have those closed out within the next couple of warrants. I'm going to touch base again with the school to see where they are as far as that goes. As far as revenue is, we're on 26% of our estimates, which is about 13.2 million of our 50.6 million budget. I will say that $50 million budget, again, is not our finalized budget since we have not set the tax rate or anything else. That's our preliminary as of when we did the budget in the spring. A few categories trail our expectations. Our motor vehicle excise, because our first major billing occurs in January. Building permits and other licenses are slightly below the benchmark. However, these are offset by early October receipts that we received October 4th, 5th. So if we had received them a few days earlier, we would have actually hit our 25% mark in those two line items, which is actually really encouraging because I didn't think we were going to. Talking with the building inspector during some of our meetings, but those we'll definitely keep an eye on as we go through the fiscal year to make sure that we're hitting those targets. Rooms tax was at 33% of the budget, and meals tax was at 30%, and investment income was at 159% of the budget, or $302,000 collected. Again, as we keep spending down some of that bigger money, that number should go down, but I think we're well within the budget that we've created for those line items. In terms of our enterprise and CPA funds, we had no expenditures because the majority of it is just debt service for the library, which happens in October. And we were at 24.5% of revenues collected. Water enterprise fund was at 11% of expended budget and 6% of revenues collected. Again, those are still within our expectations due to the categories that are within those line items. Our sewer fund was at 23.9% of expended budget due to our quarterly SESD payment, and there was what whittles down to about 0% of revenues because all the billing is really done in October. Nick and I are, like I said, are working to try to get those prior payments that were still outstanding into the system so that we can start collecting some of those older amounts as well, and giving more ways for people to pay those bills online. Our revolving and special revenue funds remain stable, supported by consistent interest earnings, especially in our trust and stabilization fund balances. In closing, our FY26 started with disciplined spending from our departments, healthy revenues, and stable fund balances. We continue with a strong financial position with no red flags at this point in time during the budget process, and we'll continue to monitor license permit revenues closely as the year progresses. Are there any questions for FY26?
I don't.
So nothing on FY26, but just some operational questions. So where are we on implementing P cards?
We met with a vendor in the spring, and that is where we are.
Okay, so
with implementing P cards.
I have a considerable concern with department heads having to use their own personal credit cards to pay for costs that are budgeted within our budgets, i.e. having to use their own personal credit card, put in for a reimbursement, and then have to get reimbursement. I don't think a town with a budget this size should ever expect a department head to use their personal credit card to pay for department expenses, whether that is postage or licenses or certifications with the state. And I understand the state may not allow us to cut a check, but we're a $50 million organization. We need P cards. So that practice has to stop. So we have department heads that are actually using their own, taking their own wallets out.
I am one of them.
Yeah, no, I know. This
I am.
has got to stop. We're not Podunk Middleton.
I will say it's not quite as simple as flipping a switch and making it happen. There are vendors we have to go through. We have to make sure that they are on the state contract list. This is not new to me.
No, I understand, but I don't want to go through another fiscal year of department heads or even non-department heads using their own personal credit cards to pay for line items in the budget. It can't continue. It cannot continue. This is not the way a $50 million organization should be run.
So if I could interject and speak to that a little bit, because I've heard some grumblings.
There's a lot of grumblings going on.
I'd say the instances where an employee has to use their credit card, minimal. And I think with proper planning, there are ways to go about that through channels that wouldn't require them to use their credit card. And I would say, frankly, in defense of our finance department, I think they would welcome a minimization in the frequency at which some people do use their credit card to try to get points and then generate work through reimbursements in their office. And so, you know, in the rare, and I mean rare instances where you can only use a credit card, I'm in agreement there. But I think there's a little responsibility to be held on both sides of this. I think,
No, I agree, but I don't understand how an operation this size does not have a credit card. I'm not asking for a credit, I'm asking for a purchase card. I know there's a difference. I completely understand the difference, but, I mean, communities much smaller than us have P cards. School districts much smaller than us have a P card. And I hope that becomes a priority, because I actually think it's unfair, and I actually think, for me, it's an audit flag. And it just, I would not expect any department head or employee, anybody, including those at the table now, to be using their personal credit card to actually pay for fees that are built into the budget. This isn't, I have something that I have to acquire that we hadn't really, like, this is licenses and certifications and items that have to occur. And I get, the state doesn't make it easy, that we can't use, credit card invoices for some of these expenditures, but it just, that can't and shouldn't be happening. It's got to stop. It's got to
One
stop.
person's convenience shouldn't be translated into other employees' inconvenience, whatever the drug is. What is the policy, or apparently we don't have one, how does one be authorized? How am I authorized to use my personal credit card for something? Does it
We do have
happen
an
and then
expense reimbursement policy. We do have an expense reimbursement policy.
so it just happens, and then when it comes in to be paid, you just gotta pay it?
So, depends on what it is. We do have a specific reimbursement policy related to travel, as to what expenses are allowed and what are not allowed. As far as some other things, no, it's a little bit more, if you pay it on a credit card, we will reimburse you as long as you provide the information, the invoice, what it's for, your either bank statement or a copy of your credit card with everything redacted on both of those items.
So it doesn't have to be the copy of their credit card. It can just be a copy of their statement.
Yes, it can either be, or if you write a check,
Okay.
it could be a copy of the check with all your bank
Yeah,
information
so
redacted.
I think it should, if.
There
and-
are
and-
options for
And
people
I
to
get for
use.
travel, an individual using their personal credit card, that happens. Not a lot of travel that happens, but when it does happen. But for actually acquiring equipment, supplies, licenses, and others that are built into our budget, I don't want employees using their personal cards, whether it's for points or not. I just don't, I don't think that's what a $50 million organization should be doing.
Yep. And I would say, I think the frustration over using personal cards always existed, but I think it really was exacerbated when, to Finance Director Wood's credit, she more strictly enforced the policy that was already in place from the Select Board and Finance Committee in an effort, and not that we ever think there would be an issue, but in an effort to avoid situations where fraud could be called into question. And I think it's when that clampdown occurred from a place of fraud prevention from the finance team of requesting additional backup, which is a best practice. That's when people really got frustrated. And so that's when I say.
And I say the best way to get rid of that frustration is implement a P-card system. Now, you travel, hey, your travel expense report should have certain requirements if you're using your personal credit card, which makes sense for travel. I spent 179 nights in a hotel a couple of years ago traveling for work. I get it. I didn't get the points. However, when those reimbursements go in, I have absolutely no problem with a redacted copy of a credit card statement being part of that. Because that's how we know that
That's
it's a travel and receipts.
The policy is it's receipts,
Right.
and it's either, we give the option of either the credit card statement or the credit card redacted.
I think it should always be the credit card statement. I think it should always be the credit card statement, because then you can,
Well, we only allow the credit card if the last four digits is on the receipt, so we can track the last four digits of the credit card
To match
to
it to
the
the card.
invoice.
to the
It's not
invoice.
one or the.
for me, it's, and I'm not saying this is happening, but you're acquiring something, you're sending in your receipt, but that could have been returned.
Correct.
And that's where having
But
the
also, I mean,
actual
with the statement,
that's
if it's
where having the
redacted, how can I
statement-
prove that it wasn't?
So, but this isn't about travel, this is really about, like, actually acquiring equipment, supplies, and operational functions of multi-million-dollar departments let's get a P card system in place. And so
Right.
could I, at some point, get an answer back, like where this is in the process and what the timeline looks like for implementing it? Deb?
I just want to add to that, I'm a little lost in the dark on what the issue really should be. That there shouldn't be an issue, I should rephrase that. Number one, in municipal government, if you use your personal card, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a P card, there's MGL laws that state what you have to submit for reimbursement. Brian, you mentioned licenses. For the licenses for departments I know, that's paid, you can go right through your organization and they wait for the town check. So
No, with certain state, our annual license on our ambulance,
doesn't
they won't
Well-
take a check
from the town.
from the state. The state
I
won't take a
didn't know
check from
that.
us, yeah.
In which even then I'd say, and not to pass the blame, I think we can smooth some things on our end, but I think the legislature needs to act. They put a lot of time and effort into talking about municipal modernization and trying to make it easier and more reasonable for us to do our job.
Lipstick on a pig.
And I
And
think
it's
that,
lipstick on a pig.
that's a prime example of something they could do that is very simple and within reach, and for some reason they pass over every time.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, and I get that the management of a P card takes work. I don't want our department heads going to the post office to purchase postage on their personal credit card. I don't want them going to
And
the state website.
most don't. They actually get an invoice that
But
we
I
then
don't
cut a
wanna-
check to the postmaster, and they bring it over to the postmaster.
Sarah, this is happening.
I know that it
there's
is.
been I brought this up a couple of years ago on a P card, so, again, we're a $50 million organization, let's act like one.
All I'm stating is that departments are choosing to use their credit cards as well. And I'm with you,
yeah.
Brian, that I don't think they should be.
No, I don't think, here's a perfect opportunity to end it. Like, just end it. And I think the policy should be personal credit cards when you're traveling and nothing else. It's unfair. It's unfair to the process, it's unfair to the employee, it's unfair to the administration of the finances of the town.
I have one question. Yeah, Sarah, on the trust fund list for the first quarter, there's less funds listed than at the end of the fourth quarter.
What page is that on, Costa?
Well,
Oh, I apologize, Costa. I am missing the library ones. Tomorrow I will run through and I will update that and send it out to you, Costa.
thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out.
And I think this board also has to come up with a process of how dollars are going to transfer over to this new 501c3 at the food pantry. And I think that's the perfect opportunity to come up with whatever the process is going to be on their utilization of the space, what hours are going to look like, and all of those expectations. Okay. Anything further?
I have nothing.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to enter executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, as well as Chapter 30A, Section 21A3. One, to discuss strategy with respect to non-union personnel, and the other, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation due to open meeting would have a detrimental effect on that litigation. We will not be re-entering open session, and we'll be adjourning at the end of executive sessions.
I'll make that motion.
There was a motion, there is a second, so Debbie, can you take a roll?
Rick?
Yep.
Costa?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Okay, we are adjourned.